Good evening. You feel bad? You just need a little love. Just need a little bit.
I needed something good on the inside and a good conversation to just like, you know, tap into who I am because today was a challenge. Yeah, like and that's the thing about living by yourself and being in isolation. Like that's why I said like I intentionally went outside to take a walk outside in the sun and like have a conversation because I needed to kind of like reel myself back in and like self-awareness. Like you got to use your tools. Like I was like, oh, the devil's a lie. I cannot sit here today and sit in this all day. Plus I got to work later. I was like, and I already know Kiki gonna be like, what's wrong with you? What's going
on? Get it together.
Get it together.
Get it together.
Happy Sunday, y'all.
Happy Sunday and welcome to H.E.A.L. Holding each other accountable with love. Todd, let me text him. I can go live on IG. Okay, so welcome to episode 8.
I can't believe it. 2 months.
What? That's crazy. Let's just take a moment to give thanks for that. I'm so grateful. Like 8 weeks. Okay, in this week's episode, because I don't forgot that quick, we have a special guest today. And today's episode is called Let's Unpack, Embracing Self-Awareness and Wholeness. So this is week 8. We're going to bring our guest in shortly. We're going to do a quick little intro. I don't know what to say. I had words, but I just went out my head because I'm just so excited about week 8 and being here. And so that's today's topic. We have our special guest, Jerome Forster Lewis, will be coming in soon. I didn't get his bio, but he's going to just give us a quick bio when he comes in. That's okay. That's the one thing I forgot to do. But Jazz, why don't you go ahead and read the
description?
Our description, okay. And then we'll get
right. Welcome everyone to episode 8. All right. Welcome to the H.E.A.L podcast. Join 2 real-life friends and professional women on a journey of self-discovery, growth, and healing. Together, we explore what it means to unpack life's challenges, embrace self-awareness, grow in our spiritual practices, and navigate healing, one honest conversation at a time. This is not a space for giving advice, but rather a place to share tools, tips, and reflections that have inspired us along the way. Whether you're looking for clarity, connection, or curiosity-driven dialogue, you're in the right place. Let's hold each other accountable with love as we grow together. So welcome, y'all.
Welcome.
Whew. So I was I got Kiki still hasn't given it a name when I do my like health update for the week. Like, what am I focused on this week? So I don't know, Kiki. You said you're gonna come up with a name. You still don't have a name yet, but
yet.
But with that being said, I don't know. Do you want Jerome to be here for this part?
Let's bring him. Let's have him have part of the whole experience. I think it's just good. So let's bring Jerome here. Jerome Forster Lewis, artist extraordinaire. He doesn't just sing, but he's an actor. He's a thespian. He's an actor. He's a singer. He's all the things above. And not only that, but he's one of our biggest supporters. He's always active in our comment section, always blessing us with many jewels. And we said he has to be on the show to tell, not only just share his love and his light, but to also share his story. He has a phenomenal story, and I think it'll be impactful and insightful for everyone to hear it. So help me welcome Mr. Jerome Forster Lewis. Yay! Okay, add to the stage.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Honored to be in the live group chat. Like, we're here.
We in the group chat. Now you just live. You be in the group chat.
What y'all doing tonight?
You have dropped. Yeah. I feel better than I did before we got in for our like check-in. I feel much better. Okay. I got some energy, some good energy from y'all. I had my little mushroom coffee. So, it's coming together slowly.
Everybody coming in. How y'all doing? Yeah, I definitely want coffee because this is a double cup. This is a double serving in here because this I love owls, just an FYI, and I have a couple of these in my collection. But it's my owl cup. But
I like that cup. That's cute.
That is nice.
I was just saying that I need to I want to change some of the my mugs and stuff.
Yeah,
my cabinet because stuff broke, so it's not now I don't have full sets and it's irritating me. even though it's just me. It's irritating
So
me
do
that
you like I'm just random, but do you like matching cups or you like collection?
I like multiple collections, but something
Okay.
has to match. There has to be like
Yeah,
a
I like my
theme.
plates. Like the plates and stuff have to match. I need I was on my
Yeah,
white thing, all white. I like my plates
yeah,
and stuff to match, but the mugs can be like eclectic. I
yeah.
don't.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't mind like off like mugs that are different, but like it has to be a set. So I have a set that is the saucer plate, the bowl, the dinner plate, and the mug. Like I have
Yeah.
one of those. And then everything else are like small collections that I found. I'm like, oh, okay, this goes together, this color works and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's annoying me because some of them broke and I need to replace them. But I like that mug.
The inner housewife for me loves all white serveware. Like the inner housewife for me is that I'm that girl.
What
For
is
like
patriarchy? What is that though? Because that's a thing.
so
Are
this
we-
okay, there's this black design influencer called At Home with Nikki. She is like who I want to be when I grow up. This is black woman. She lives down south. Her home is like immaculate. She has all the like gadgets in her kitchen. Her kitchen is like
Oh
the
yes,
At Home with Nikki.
she,
If you have looked
she's
her up on
amazing.
YouTube,
Like the
Oh
clear
my god.
Tupperware and the refrigerator
oh,
vibe.
she's
Got it.
all white. Like she sets the way she sets her tablescapes up. It's just like uniform. Just all white serveware. She's like the
And
black
when she
Martha Stewart.
opens, and like when she
I
opens her,
oh
she's
my god.
amazing. I'll
I
be like,
mirror.
oh,
There was one point I would watch her every week and like I would just mirror my house after her. I fell off, but I have to go back to her page because she's
yeah.
my inspiration. Like when I get my home, it's gonna be all and y'all already know I like to do over the top, and I'm like, welcome, I'm
Mm-hmm.
the host of Moses, and I like to do all the things. So when I really get my home with the like formal dining room and the family room and the foyer, because my grandmother was like that. So anyway, okay, we're getting off
No,
track.
I love those things, and I love that I have friends like Kiki and Jasmine are my like go tos when it comes to like clothes and like housewares and stuff. I'd be like the other day, I sent her something. I was like, I want this outfit. I want this color scheme. She sent me back like a whole note, like a whole lookbook. I was like, thank you. So now I don't like if I had somewhere to go, all I got to do is just go to the link. Oh, this is the stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I
I do
like
that.
those
Yeah,
things.
that's something I like to. I love. That's something I do for myself, so it's easy to do for other
Yeah.
people. Like, can you help me put something? That's how I find my outfits by inspiration on Instagram. I just recreate it. I may switch the colors around, like if I can't find, and like
Yeah.
it's all about knowing what fits your body. And
Kio's always been my what you think, girl. What you think?
Yeah, this is what I'm
Always
saying.
been my
Yeah,
go-to.
it's like that. Like
Yeah.
in my spirit, I'm a very wealthy woman that I can just pay for all the things that I want. So it's like I love these. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, that outfit is amazing. Can you go get it? Can you make it? And then I'll wear
oh,
it.
absolutely.
Like listen, I'm a passenger princess for the rest of my life. Like I want to spend most of my time thinking and creating. I don't want to do except for cooking. That's the only thing in the house that I enjoy doing. Because I know if I didn't say it, Kiki was gonna say something. But yeah, in the kitchen, I'm your girl. Let's go. What we cooking? I'm here for it. But all
I
the
can.
other stuff,
I can
just
sit
bring
the
it.
cooking.
No, just bring the cleaners in. Bring the cleaners. Bring the
Yeah.
interior design people, and just do it. I don't want to do it. I just want it to be done.
Give me the interior design and making things pretty. I can cook. I do put it on when I have to, but if I can skip the cooking and just make everything pretty and bring cleaners in, I can make it pretty. Just have cleaners come in and so help. But the cook got to be trusted though, so that's something that has to be evolved because I need to
You
know
know how we do. We be like,
trust. But anyway, we're getting off topic.
anyway. So no, it goes. Okay, so
Right
talking
now,
about food.
we're talking about food, but back to Jazz's health corner. So every week we're gonna have a segment of Jasmine sharing something, giving us some tips, insight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 'cause I'm not a medical professional. So we
mm,
still we still haven't come up with like an official name for this section of the show.
next
However,
season.
so
Next season.
okay. So this week, well, last week and this week, hydration is really top of my list, right? Because what I notice, and I talk to people, and like I know people who really don't like drinking water, and they're not really focused on like what hydration really is. But a lot of people don't realize that a lot of times you don't feel well because you're dehydrated. Your joints hurt because you're dehydrated. You got a headache because you're dehydrated. your blood pressure is elevated because you're probably dehydrated. And it's like there's so many things connected to like not being hydrated properly. So here are a couple of things of how dehydration harms the body. So cognitive impairment, like it can really impact how you make decisions. Like being dehydrated in the moment for a long period of time can really send you on a spiral. Sometimes people out here being nasty, they dehydrated. You know, next time somebody getting your nerves, be like, you know what, girl, maybe we need to go drink some water. That's what they be saying. Drink your water and mind your business because you need to be hydrated. Digestive issue, that is a big thing. Hydration plays a big part in digestion. Kidneys. So kidney damage, people always, people growing up is always like, oh, people with kidney issues or liver issues is always from alcohol. And sometimes it's because you're not drinking enough water to flush the kidneys, to flush the, like, you need to
Dry.
flush.
You're
You're
dry.
dry.
You're ashy.
I can't say
Sorry.
kidney. But yeah, so your kidneys can be heavily impacted by dehydration. And like, I don't know, like some people, I remember there were times when I was younger where like you're not drinking water, or like, they tell you not to hold your pee for long periods of time, and you get like those pains in your back and all that stuff. All of those things come from dehydration, as well as not going to the bathroom the way you're supposed to. So it's all connected. Poor skin. People always ask me, what do I do for my skin? I drink hella water. And that's literally how I maintain like my acne and all that, because I have like crazy hormone issues. I'm supposed to have all kinds of stuff going on, but I drink so much water and I focus on hydration so much that it really helps with my skin. Also, dehydration can also impact your immune system, and it can be the reason why you keep getting colds, and you out here in the world and you keep getting sick because you're dehydrated. You ain't drinking enough water. You ain't putting enough fluids in your body, because fluids are needed in the body. The last one the last couple of ones are low energy levels. That is a big thing when it comes to hydration. Muscle cramps, joint pain. I said that. Heart strain. So being dehydrated can put a strain on your actual heart. You're making your heart work overtime. So stay hydrated. And then overheating. So like your body gets warm really quickly all the time and you always feel hot. You good? Oh, I saw that.
Screen froze.
Okay. Yeah. So overheating is also a part of dehydration. And the last one is one that is near and dear to me and what made me do all this research: hormonal imbalance. Being dehydrated can impact your cycles. It can impact your hormones on like a major level. All right. So here are some of the quick things that I suggest. Electrolyte drinks, like what you were talking about, Kiki, like liquid IV. There's another company that I like a lot. They're called Cure. So you want to have electrolytes. You want to make sure that there's potassium, magnesium, to help with your body absorption with the hydration. So liquid IV and Cure are really good. Homemade popsicles. So they say you could blend fruit and put them in the freezer and make your own popsicles. That's something I would do. Kiki, don't say nothing. But popsicles, but no, seriously, like blending fruit and freezing it, that is literally can help you with hydration. Diluting juices. So adding water to juice, just to make it, to dilute it, and you're still getting your water in. Sparkling water, herbal teas actually help with dehydration. Don't put no sugar in it, but drink herbal teas if you don't like the taste of water. You can infuse your water with lemon and cucumber. And my favorite one is coconut water. Coconut water not only helps with hydration, but it also helps with your blood pressure. So yeah. So those are my help tips and insight for the week. So make sure you're drinking your water. And if you don't like water, try some of them other things.
I want to add this too, especially for parents or if you have little kids. What I do with my kids, I always dilute juice. I always do half and half because I don't let my kids don't drink soda. And they didn't grow up drinking soda. They can drink soda now, but I also used to always dilute juice. And the other part for us coffee drinkers, because I'm a coffee drinker, and I learned this from my cousin Stanley, is that for every cup of, because coffee is dehydrating.
It is.
So for every cup of coffee you drink, you're supposed to drink 1 cup of water to offset that, because it can be dehydrating. And I know, like because I've worked so hard to increase my water intake. When I don't drink a lot of water, like today, I get headaches. I know my headaches come from that. Like you said, like a lot of times, if you're feeling off, a lot of times first hydrate and then see how you're feeling after that. Because a lot of times, like you said, it's because we're dehydrated. And also constipation, it comes from dehydration. Drink your water. Everything's run a little smoother for you. This is something I've learned as well.
That is interesting you said about the back pain too, because I've been having a lot of back pain lately, and I've been moving a lot more, but I definitely haven't been drinking as much water as I should. So
Try some water. I go to Costco and I get like the organic coconut water. It's like they have a big one. It's like 33 ounces, and I'll try to drink that. I'll keep it. It has to be very cold, but I'll try to like keep that and drink it throughout the day, at least one a day or one every other day, because I feel like I get dehydrated on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Like I feel I can feel the difference.
Yes, Carrie. Coffee and water, definitely key. And that's why I'm drinking my coffee and I have water here. I always try to do that even throughout the day when I drink. Because I drink a lot of coffee.
What kind of coffee you drink?
Cafe Bustelo.
Oh, my mother, I wish I was closer to you. My mother left a whole big one here. You know, I'm drinking
Choice. Oh yeah, I'm drinking Taste of Choice right now because I'm an instant coffee girl. I have an espresso, but I haven't been using it. And a lot of times I don't have the time to run it, so I just do a quick cup in the morning. And I'm doing Taste of Choice for the first time. It's good, but I normally do Cafe Bustelo or I do my espresso pods. I alternate between the two. Oh, that wind is crazy.
Megan in the comment. I don't know if you can see my comments too, but Megan in the comments. Okay. Yeah. No, she just said dehydration also contributes to anxiety. She's a phenomenal social worker that works with the Caregiver Center. She works with a lot of caregivers who deal with anxiety. So we're in the presence of other social workers. But so she said it contributes to anxiety as well. Something to think about.
All right. That's
I told you I was feeling anxious for the last 2 days. I might have been dehydrated.
You might have been dehydrated. You was drowned inside. Ash.
I told you know what I drink
your water.
Your water. Listen, this morning I shared in my stories this morning. I woke up feeling a bit anxious, and I know a lot of my anxiety comes from just cycles of thoughts. And I had to combat it with just like affirmations to kind of pull myself out of it. Because that's one of the things that how minds come on, like my anxiety and depression come on thoughts. So I have to like combat it with like affirmations to like pull myself out. I'll sit there and just put myself into a slump real quick if I don't catch it. So
it was because I watched your story. You were talking about being overwhelmed too, and then Jasmine, you just said you were dealing with before we were talking. I've been sharing with my community, my circle of support about overwhelmness. Not necessarily bad things. For me, a lot of great things are happening, but even that can seem overwhelming. So it is just interesting how our brain and our body responds to all of those things.
Human behavior is a beautiful thing.
It is.
Yeah.
I can just sit and just read and talk about it all day.
Oh, yeah. I'm fascinated. That's why I'm excited to be here and jump in.
Yeah.
Which I got going.
I said, Jazz, sometimes I want to be analyzed today. Not today. Just let me and talk crazy. Like, let's unpack. But again, hello to everyone who's joining us. Dr. Bell, Cynthia, what's up, everybody? Quay, Rafia, Rufus is on here. Carrie's on here. I'm just popping.
Hi, y'all. I'm sorry. I don't be meaning no more.
Who else I see?
Who you see in there?
Megan, Barbara. A lot of people jumped on.
Love
there
it.
We go.
All right. So, like I said, this week's episode, our special guest Jerome was joining in with us, and we're talking about his journey. And so first, I want to kind of let you. This is learning. I meant to ask you for your bio. I wanted to give you a formal bio, but please, this Jerome.
You have to know me my whole life.
I mean, just your whole life, but a formal bio was like, I know him, whatever. That's my brother. So if y'all don't know, I am a little biased because this is literally like my brother. This is my god brother. I've literally known him his whole life. From little kids playing downstairs in the basement, getting in trouble together, doing all the things. Like, this is my brother. Like, all the things. Yes. And the journey that he's been on, the highs and lows, everything in between. So he has been one of our day one supporters of this podcast and always just dropping amazing insight in the comment section. So we invited him to come on into the live group chat and join in with us and just to hear about his story. And, he just had an amazing week. He did his show at the Sub Theater.
First ever one-man show.
He knocked it out the park. So phenomenal. house.
Hey.
It's nothing. We're not going to breeze over that because that was amazing. And I'm really going to get into that too because like this whole moment, I caught myself. I did get a little emotional. I'm just proud. I'm proud of you, and just to see how much love that came out that night and supported you, and like to see you in all your glory was just amazing. So please tell us about yourself, Jerome.
Hey everybody. So my name is Jerome. I'm a Scorpio. No, I'm just kidding. I no, so I am right now currently in my professional role. I work as a patient experience specialist in healthcare, which was not the plan. But as life would have it, I found myself working in a hospital, which I'm very grateful for. But growing up, I wanted to be a Broadway star. And so I did all the things. I did the training and I traveled around the world doing musical theater. And then life happens, as it often does to most of us. If you're fortunate enough to get through something, you've been through something, right? And so I literally lost everything. And I don't say that dramatically. I mean, I had a place to stay, which was a basement, my sister's house, sleeping on a mattress. So you go from singing on stages and cathedrals in Italy to literally sleeping on a mattress in your sister's basement, you know, drinking vodka, looking at her dog, like, what we doing next? What's happening? You know? So I had to pull myself up and just figure out who I was and what I want to do in this world. And as I began to get back on my feet, in between doing musical theater tours, I was a security guard, as a doorman at luxury apartment buildings. So I always had my security guard license. So when I was on this chapter of my life, I moved back home and my mom got sick and, you know, she passed away. And I was just like, okay, what am I going to do? Let me just stay on Long Island for a little while till I figure it out. And so I said, let me just get a job, you know, whatever security job I can get. And so I got a security job at a hospital. They were the first people that called me. And as I begin to do that, I'm just, you know, doing my day to day, just trying to be kind and compassionate to people. And then COVID happened. I don't know if you heard about it. This pandemic kind of shut down the world. And so in that, I was like that person. I was the person at that front desk, that security guard that had to tell people they couldn't go see their dying loved ones. They couldn't check in with grandma. They couldn't go say their last words because they weren't letting people come in the hospital. And so I truly believe that God assigned me to that seat to set me up for this chapter, because I literally start to begin what patient experience was and what it was like to interact with people in distress, and, you know, how that stretched me and how that, you know, I was able to see the world in a different way, and to be a light to people. To simply put, God put me in that chair to be a light in one of the most difficult times in the world. And I only share that part because within that, I met one of my leaders who pulled me into patient experience. When she found out I sing, she was like, oh, you're singing. And so I started singing to patients, and that sort of opened up a whole world with me, which within that just gave me the confidence to say, God, you know, I desire to be back on stage. I love what I do, but I desire to be back on stage. And I was able to get my one-man show together, and was able to perform that this week. And now I'm doing another show after that, going to be doing 12 Angry Men. So I'm slowly getting back to doing what I love. And I'll end with this as far as my bio goes. I feel like at this part of my journey, my purpose has truly met my passion. And I'm living with, you know, with a divine assignment, with intention. And it just feels good to be here with you ladies tonight. So this is what I love. You talk about you love human behavior, Jasmine. This is what eat, leave no crumbs, as the kids say, huh? Like, I'm ready to eat. Like, let's dive in.
I have one question though, because, you know, I'm a music fanatic.
Yes.
When preparing for your one-man show,
yes,
how long did you rehearse? And like were you your own musical director?
So this is the first time. I've always done musical theater for over 15 years. I've always auditioned, please pick me, which they usually did. And so I'm so used to just showing up, tell me what to sing, tell me where to go, direct me, use me. This is my first time where I built the band, I put the set list together, I orchestrated. Everyone was looking at me like, what do you want to do with this part? I made the decisions about everything. I sat with the executive director with budgeting. I'm the one who paid the band. I mean, you're talking like, I dove right back in there, right? So when it came to rehearsing, the unfortunate part about working with such talented musicians, it was so hard to get everyone in the same place at the same time. So I would rehearse with one musician here, I rehearse with two here. In my car, it was nothing but Nat King Cole music, Nat King Cole. So I found anywhere that I could to rehearse, but that is the love of what I do. Like it didn't feel like work, you know what I mean? So as far as full rehearsals with the band, I won't disclose that, but let's just say we pulled it together.
No,
And,
couldn't tell whatever you did.
Yeah. But that's why I asked, because I know like behind the scenes with that kind of thing, it's hard to get people to rehearse together. And then that's why I wanted to know too. That was going to be my next question. Like, did you create the whole show? Like,
I did.
Yeah, that's dope.
Everything. And I could tell you this there were things that happened on stage that we did not rehearse, but because the musicians are so good, like it like those are the moments you live for, because you're like, all right, let's play. Like what we finna do. And like things happen that we weren't expecting, but came out. I don't know, Kyoshi was there. She can tell you, but that's the joy of being an artist, you know?
Yeah.
You love. But
I only saw clips, but from what I could see, I was like, oh, I love this. Like, I just love performing. Like, I love live music. Any kind of live music. As long as it's not screeching, and I'm not being funny, as long as it doesn't like screech my ear, like it doesn't screech in my ear, I can listen to anything. I can listen to rock, I can listen to any type of music. I'm not a heavy metal fan.
Can't do it.
I don't like heavy metal, but that's the thing. Like heavy metal has a screech to it a lot of times, but I've heard soft heavy metal, and I'm like, like soft, like soft rock stuff like that. But, like I love live music. I just love it. But yeah, I enjoyed the clips
as well. Like if it's not right in my head, I go like this. I have a very sensitive ear. I think because we grew up musically in a very musically driven church. Like I mean, just background in general, that we have a very sensitive ear to music. So it's like if it's off, it's off. But like. Bravo to you. It was phenomenal. But also as you're saying, like during that process, did it really help? What boost did that give to your confidence as, because like it's one thing to, like you said, come and being told what to do and what to stand. But were there moments where you kind of had to kind of build yourself up and remind yourself who you were? Because like to go to that level, like, like we said, we could run a service with our eyes closed, but actually have to do it, you know what I'm saying? So like, what were those feelings when you had those moments of like, maybe a little doubt came in, or like how did you step beyond those moments of like frustration? What were you doing?
I can honestly say it's because of my circle of support. Dr. Jerome Bell, hands down, he will tell everybody I could do it without him, but literally he has been such a foundation in me just affirming who I am and what I can do. And like for him, it's always like, why can't you? Because I was like, well, what if I asked him and maybe I can only have, he's like, why can't you have 4? Like, it was always like, why can't you? Like, do you know who you are? So just to have that support is one thing, but also doing my own self-work and realizing that when I decided to make a life shift and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? I knew without a shadow of a doubt, that's what I'm supposed to do. I can't, when I'm on stage, it's like breathing to me. It's like the freest I feel. It's like you feel in alignment. So I knew that if I would just get the opportunity to be on the stage, all of that stuff, everybody has that. Whether you running a multi-million-dollar company. I have one of my mentors who is literally one of the executives of the hospital. It's funny, like we had a conversation one time and I'd be like, girl, like, I don't know what I'm doing. She's like, I don't eat. Like, I'm figuring it out too. You know what I mean? Like, who told you like everybody has it all figured out? So once you realize the fact that the thing that makes us all the same is that we're all different, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, so when you realize that, and then let's talk about it, the spiritual warfare. We know the enemy going to put all those thoughts in my head. So I literally have to talk to those voices and be like, I appreciate your input, but I got to go do this because I can't believe these lies. Because the fact of the matter is, and you saw, I can do it. I am going to be good at it. Like I was born to do that. I did it.
Did it.
So I look back at, things in my life that I've overcome, and that's what gives me the confidence, knowing it's going to be what it's going to be. And even if it's not perfect, that's what it's supposed to be, So I don't know. My whole mind has shifted in that sense of just putting my head in.
Yeah. 2 things stood out to me as you were saying, as you answered that question. One, the importance of like company, partnership, and knowing who you're around, the right people around you that can support you and see those things and push you, even when you don't feel like being very important. Especially also purpose partnership too, right? So that's very important. So I just wrote that down. You talking because it's very important. And to your point, like it's within us already, and that's the biggest thing. Like we already have it. It's just us to have the confidence to push forward. And like, there's a lot of things we do out of necessity that we have to do. Like, I have to go to work. I got to push for that. But there's some things, like you said, we know we can do it. Sometimes we just we talk ourselves out of it. But it's just inspiration to me that for you to do this one man show and to pack out Suffolk Theater is like, oh, I pray that it inspires somebody to know that you can do it. It's already within you. You don't have to do. You already have the network, the people. Everything's already in place. It's just us to tap into it. So
but here's the spoiler alert. It'd be scary. Everything's not going to go the way you want it to. It's going to be frightening. Like, all of those things are okay. Like, those are the things that are going to try to shift you to stop. But like, I promise you, friend, if you have something that you want to do and like you're willing to take a chance and bet on yourself on it, the reward it's I mean, as many people say that they were touched by that evening, it was worth it, you know? The fear is lies. Y'all talked about that a couple of episodes ago. The lies we tell ourselves. Yeah. I'm sure y'all feel scared to do this. And here we are.
We've been trying to do this since like last year. We've been trying to do this thing since last year. Had a date, everything. Life was happening. We kept pushing it back, and then literally the first episode we had was like, let's just do it. I said like, let's just go. Because I need something. I got to do something. My mind's going. I got to.
We started talking about this during the pandemic. Like, I feel like when I moved in this apartment, like 2022, we started talking about the idea of having like a podcast and like, you know, and like creating a brand and, you know, and like really sharing our experiences with other people.
Because Jazz and I was going through our own transformation, independently transformational journeys, where we was talking about it together, and we're like, I'm sure people are having these experiences, like in different ways.
But 2024, you know, put our backs to the wall. Like, what we doing? What we doing? Like,
I ain't 24. I ain't 24. I hear you, kid. Hey, kid. Like, stop playing with me. Get to work.
Stop playing in my face. It was all in my face. Okay, so the topic says, let's unpack. You know, I was doing my homework. Let's unpack self-awareness and wholeness. So self-awareness is defined as conscious knowledge of one's character, feelings, motives, and desires.
Preach.
Okay. So what does that mean to you now? That's my first question. Where are you at in your self-awareness journey now? I'm gonna give you two parts. So I want you so you can kind of formulate your answer to this. But also, let's go back. How did your upbringing? Because if you watch your video on the Faces of Long Island video, right? Where these questions are coming from. And on this journey to self-awareness and who you are to this point today and how you was able to manifest and bring yourself to this point now. What's your self-awareness? That's what really was about, like your self-awareness of coming to who you are and being able to openly express who you are, right? And not only within your personal life, but in your professional life, what that looked like. So I want to take a step back. We're talking about the present to come back, kind of make a full circle back. And if you haven't watched his video on his page, please do. It's just gives a overview of his upbringing and where he's at now into his journey to now. So I want to take a step back and ask you, how did your upbringing impact your self-awareness?
That's a tricky question because my upbringing taught me not. I want to watch my words because I want to be kind to the people who are very, very fragile with me. They did the best they could for what they knew, right? And so here I am growing up in the world, trying to figure out what's my place, who am I? And I'll just give you a little slight tad bit of my background. I grew up as a preacher's kid. You know, my dad's the pastor and he would go there. I would go to the church, a place where you're supposed to feel safe and secure. And I would hear messages about, you know, hope and togetherness and love. When homosexuals are going to hell. And I'd be like, now my mind has tricked me to believe not only does my father not love me, but God doesn't love me either. Right. So that just trying to figure, like, I didn't know, like, how am I wrong? I'm just living. I'm just trying to be, you know, and I always share that part of my story. It has nothing to do with my sexuality. I think every person in this world can identify with feeling uncomfortable in their skin, have somebody saying something when they were young that continues to play in your head over and over and over. So talk about self-awareness. Now that I look back, I realized it was that voice that was telling me I wasn't good enough, that telling me I didn't belong here, that I was going to hell, that I'm a bad person. It wasn't until I started to heal those things that I was able to be present. Now that I'm present, now that I know the lies are not true, now I can say to myself two things in every situation I've learned along this recovery journey. And recovery meaning getting back to who I am in my present self. Two questions I always ask myself when you talk about self-awareness. First, how do I play a part in the situation? Sometimes it's just me being human. Life just happens to you, right? Not my fault. Sometimes I know, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I know I shouldn't have behaved that way. My bad. Checking myself. How do I play a part in it? And then two, what is this here to teach me, God? All things are lessons that God would have us learn. We know Jan Vincent says it famously. All things are lessons. Some things, no. All things are lessons that God would have us learn. So once I look at how I play a part in it and then what it's here to teach me, then I'm able to move forward. So allowing myself to be present enough to say, ask myself those two questions honestly, that's the key, y'all. We got to be honest with ourselves and say, what's exactly happening here? What can I learn from it? That's what keeps my self-awareness in check all the time. Yeah. Hopefully that answered your question. I was trying to be kind because I'm trying to change the way I tell my story too, because I've healed from it. But
yeah. Jazz, go ahead.
I have a question. When I watched the video and I watched that section when you were very clear about how supported you were in your childhood. And then it was kind of like, well, hold up. Like, and the way when you said it, I was shocked.
Yeah.
Because I know you're a PK.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm like, was that hard for you? Because like, in order to tell your story, telling our story, right? No matter what it is, it impacts the other characters in the story.
Everybody.
And it's just like, so I struggle with telling my full story and how I really see certain facets of my life and my experiences because my parents are still alive and my elders are still alive. You know what I mean? And it's just like, how did you navigate that? Because when you said it, you said it with the whole chest.
I was there. I was ready, Jazz.
You was in the like, I was like,
tough. That was tough for me.
I was like, oh.
That was tough for me. Very tough. And I was very scared about it. And I called my sister and I gave her a heads up about it. But it was all, I don't mean to sound dramatic, but it also was like another coming out for me in the sense of like, this is who I am. I am a good person. This is a facet. This is a part of me, you know? And I felt like to not give my full and be truly transparent about who I am and what I am in this world, I felt like I would have did myself a disservice, you know? And so we talk about, we want to protect the people in the story. Like we're only, it limits us from healing in a way, do you know? And like, why do we do that? Why do we do that? Do you know, like my father loves me even more now. Like that's my homie now. Like he literally called me and I'm texting him like, I'm on H.E.A.L podcast. But after he was like, no, I'm just saying I saw your video. I saw the whole thing. You were you were amazing. Very good show. Like my dad literally is texting me, you know what I mean? As we're talking. So that whole time, if I would have never just like let myself heal from that, here I am thinking that he was going to react a certain way. And he's like, do you, bro? Like, you know what I mean? So I think a lot of us, we protect the people in our story because we're afraid of the repercussions from it. But I think there's a way to do it with respect and honor and understanding, like we talked about before. Everybody's a human. We're all trying to figure it out. Like my parents, they have feelings too. Like I never thought about, my dad has gotten his heart broken once before. Like I'd never even, you know what I mean? Like my dad gets stomach aches. You know what I'm saying? Like he gets
superheroes. Like his father was always like larger than life to us. Like he was just this big man that we just looked like, oh, and like you said, like even when your mom passed, and to see him cry and ask, what am I going to do? I was like,
I think that helped too. Good point. When you talk about how when my mother passed at 62 years old of a massive heart attack instantly, something clicked in me like, oh, like we are here a short time. Like this is like at any moment, I can get in the car, God forbid, and tragedy could happen, like just trying to go to 7-Eleven. So you think about, if I have a limited time in this world, I would do myself a disservice by not truly living authentically. Like, why would I limit this experience to myself? For who? For who? I
And
come
like,
into the world alone and I leave it alone. I mean, I make great relationships and connections and bonds and have great experiences, and I feel all the things that God has for us. But I gotta stand in front of Him by myself, and if it's me being bitter and resentment and angry when I get there, what good does that do anybody? You know?
No, yeah,
I just
absolutely.
want
No,
everybody.
I appreciate it. I appreciated so seeing that clip,
Mm-hmm.
and like I have very open conversations with my parents. There are still things that I'm working through, right? And me as a writer,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when I write things, I remember, and I think one of the reasons why I haven't written as much, I feel like I got to a place where I was writing very honestly, and then I had to go back and read it, and I was like, "Ooh,
Even
I need
you, right?
like even me, I was like, I need a
Yeah.
minute." So
Yeah.
I think about, and I realized that there are parts of my life that nobody really knows about.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's like there's parts of my life, things that I've experienced that nobody knows about, and I'm just like, ooh,
Yeah.
but the more I develop and the more I get to know this version of me, I realize
Mm-hmm.
that more of me is coming out. And
Mm-hmm.
this podcast, Kiki be having me on here telling all my business.
Yeah.
And then like
Yeah.
I go back and I listen to the clips and I was like, ooh, I said that.
Yeah.
I didn't, you know what I mean? So yeah, so I was just wondering because that part really stuck out to me, like being
That was
honest
tough.
in that moment.
It
Yeah.
was
So if y'all
tough.
haven't seen it, go to his page and watch that video. It was very dope.
Thank you.
like you
You
said,
know.
is just like understanding the roles we'll play in your story, and it's not to villainize them. There's a
Mm,
duality, like right. There's a
Mhm.
love there. They brought you, raised you. They taught you what they knew to teach you based on what they knew the best they could. But
yeah.
also
Mhm.
in their inexperience, there was some and it's okay
That's
that they
okay.
Yeah.
didn't do everything right. Like even my journey, like when I told you about my conversation I had with Manny, he expressed to me areas in which I didn't, I didn't I messed up or I didn't get it right, right? And but it was like, okay, I see how that hurt you. I see how that looked to you, and I apologize. You
Mm-hmm.
know, understand we don't have a manual to this thing from any area of our lives, and the freedom to tell our story, even the bad parts, and not that they're bad, because when we tell, because I still struggle with like telling my full story of how my relationship with my parents. I have both my parents in my life. I didn't grow up with them in the same household, but I have relationships with them or lack of, right?
Yeah.
And what it looks like, and being able to fully communicate that, not to bash them, but to
Yeah.
just tell my experience. So it's just powerful the way you was like Jasmine said, the way he was able to like share that and show the duality of it. You know,
It's
because
all about.
family household, like you grew up with your mom, and like they were my full set of parents. You know, if
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't
Yeah.
have a full, I had, and it was an extension of my family. So it's like I understand, like just understanding.
and it's all about intention too. Like you talk about not villainizing people because, at the same, everybody has their own human experience. But one thing I learned too along this journey is the way I told my story. Before, when I was resentful and a mess, I'd be like, "Let me tell you what they did. Let me do with the neck and everything." Like, what? Calm down,
Mhm.
sir. Like, this is a Wendy's. Like, why are you so loud? Like, literally, let me tell you what they did. What they did. You know. And now coming from the heel side of it, huh? See what I did there, heel. Now coming from telling my perspective from this angle, I'm like, instead of let me tell you what they did from to me, let me explain to you what I learned from that. I always say too, a lot of my relationships, situationships, romantic or not, I don't have exes. They're my teachers. Every single person I've been in relationship with has taught me something, right? So even if I look back at that situation and say, oh, damn, like I allow that person to treat me that way because I devalued myself and I allowed that behavior. See what I'm saying? It's perspective shift. That's what I mean when I mean self-awareness. How did I play a part in this and what am I learning from it? That's where I am. I'm a learn junkie. Like, I'm going to get a lesson out of this. Like, I'm going to get my lesson first. Huh? I'm going to get my lesson. So it's all about how you tell your story and how you look at it. I think instead of protecting them, I think it just gives people in your story grace and say,
Yeah.
I understand. You did the best you could.
And and like even when you're saying like everything is a lesson, I feel like for me, I learned that a long time. I read this book by Iyanla many years ago, and it was called Peace from Broken Pieces.
Yes, yes.
That book literally changed my life. Like it
Mhm.
changed my perspective.
Yeah.
And although I'm still learning how to tell my story, because I feel like how I tell my story also is connected to where I am in my spirit.
Yeah.
Because when I'm frustrated and I'm angry, my spirit my story might come out a little bit like blame, like and then when I'm in my like when I have control of my emotions, I can tell it from a perspective of these are the things that I've learned.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things, like trying to find a lesson in everything. And that has been like my guide. And that has allowed me to not kind of like take vengeance.
Yeah.
And not to, and to not do things, right? And like sometimes like me, Kiki, and other friends of mine, they'd be like, you know what? I just want you to do this. I can't wait for you to just do. And I'll be like, you know what I'm saying? And they want me to like, because
I want her to flip the table. Sometimes I want her to flip the table.
Yeah. I was gonna say like, there are moments.
She's not the only one who wants me to flip the table. But it's like sometimes for me, it's like I know that there's a lesson in there. And I feel like if I flip the table, it devalues my lesson.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Okay, but sometimes that flip table is their lesson, though.
No, listen, no, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree. And it was something that I don't disagree, right? But I was watching Pastor Hannah today, and he talked about this. And this was like 2 weeks ago because I'm watching some of these episodes.
Gotta catch up, sis. What week you on?
Listen, that was 2 weeks ago. That was the first episode, Ultimatum.
Okay, yeah.
And he was saying that, like, was it him? No, it was Torre today. I'm tripping. That was live. And he was just saying, like, sometimes there's like, I don't know the script. I don't know if the full scripture. Y'all might know it. But it talks about like keep your enemies under your foot or something like that.
Yeah.
It's some scripture that he was talking about. Yeah, keep your enemies as your footstool.
Yeah,
will be your footstool. And he was just saying like, you people. He was like, if something is your footstool, it's beneath you. And he was just saying like, sometimes you got to just realize that this thing is beneath you, and you don't need to react to it in that way. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some people that I have flipped tables with. But for me, it gotta be somebody that I feel is worth it.
Yeah.
Like if I feel like, nah, you gotta get this work.
Right.
Because if I don't say it, you're gonna do it again. But if I say it this time and I flip this table and you do it again, no matter whatever happens, it was on you, bro. Or sis, because you got there. You know what I'm saying? So I understand why people flip tables. Now, I'm not going to say I've never flipped a table. I have. But I think in this particular season of my life, I'm very conscious of who I flip a table with because I don't want to devalue my lesson, if that makes sense.
Good. That's good.
I want to define flip the table. I think there's levels. I think I want to just, for this podcast, flipping the table means setting a boundary. And there's degrees to flipping tables. This is how I want to define it, for at least for the sake of this podcast. So sometimes you have to shake it.
That's not how I see that.
That's not how I see it.
I mean, we don't have to agree. Because sometimes you gotta hold on. Okay. Well, okay. Let me just get my little idea out. If y'all can say y'all can reject it, that's fine. I'm not using it. Okay. So then there's so maybe it's not okay. This is how, because I feel like sometimes flipping the table is like that's enforcing a boundary, right? For me. There's levels. So me have to shake the table, shake it a little bit. Like, hey, listen now. You can shake the table, right? Okay. And then that's their warning. Like, nah, it's getting a little rocky, or you done cracked the ice. Then flipping the table is like, okay, now I done told you, and then you gotta, that's what I'm saying. That's how I'm looking at it. Now you don't have to agree. This is kind of how I'm kind of looking at it. So when I say flip the table, it may not necessarily mean like light the match and burn the bridge. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you gotta, like your father told me, sometimes you gotta pop their hand and tell them, that ain't what you're supposed to be doing.
Okay. I think that's different from boundaries.
Also, flipping is like the extreme, like
yes.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? I want to ask a question, and then I want to push on one thing. Okay. So
hold on, flipping the table. Go ahead. I gotta just check what's going on in my house. Go ahead.
Don't be burning nothing. No. Because don't burn nothing down now.
Okay. Right.
I can't get there quick enough, and I don't think we're on quick enough. We can't help you if you burn something down.
It was a candle warmer. I didn't like the way it was.
So like, okay. So, because I'm only pushing back because I want to clarify something because you said setting a boundary. And I remember I saw this therapist talk about it. And like, when you set a boundary, the responsibility is on you, not the other person. So that's why I push back on flipping a table is not setting a boundary. Flipping a table is a reaction because
enforcing a boundary.
That's not enforcing a boundary. It's not. This is the part that I want to push back on. Because flipping a table is not enforcing a boundary, Miss Ma'am. Because
if they violate the boundary.
If your boundary is, please don't take my kindness for weakness.
Right.
Because when you do that, I no longer want to be in relationship with you.
Okay.
That's a boundary. Telling somebody, if you keep treating my kindness like weakness, I'm going to punch you in the face.
That's flipping the table.
That's flipping the table. That's not a boundary.
Okay.
I agree. I agree.
Like, I'm going to punch you in your face. That's not a boundary, ma'am. That's not a boundary.
That's a threat. Okay. Listen. I'm not rigid in my thinking. I'm agile.
No, you're not. You're very flexible. You're very flexible in your thinking. So
I'm trying to figure out a way to define that.
So we got two distinct.
I'm not committed to that. I just thinking about like, is it a boundary?
Listen, I have to ask because I just listen. So we got three distinctions. There's shaking the table, there's flipping the table, and then there's burning the bridge.
Okay, I like them because
So now in my world, all three of those things mean that I have said something to you to enforce that you are pushing my buttons. Yes, so shaking the table is like, please stop playing with me because I feel like you're playing on my intelligence.
Right.
Flipping the table is you mother sucker, whatever. Keep playing with me and I'm going to show you. And then you do something else. But all in that, I have not set a boundary for myself. Right? I have just been kind of like engaging, reacting.
Yeah.
And then burning the table is
burning the bridge.
Burning the bridge is like, you know what? Go F yourself. And that's it. The bridge is burnt. So now you have no choice but to have your boundary now because you burnt the bridge.
When I hear that, all of those actions, a boundary has not been set in place because you should not even be shaking, moving, twisting, anything. If I set the boundary and you have dishonored that boundary, then there's nothing else to discuss. You're not getting a reaction out of me because
that's the point.
Says clear is kind. A boundary is very clear. And if it's not a suggestion, I'm not suggesting that you do this. I am telling you, this is what required for us to continue a relationship. If you can't honor that, I'm going over here. I'm not shaking nothing. I'm not doing that.
I think that's where the bargaining comes in there, right? Because like you said, we're because we're not enforcing the boundary. We're trying to give, because a lot of times I think while we do is trying to give the person grace. Shake this table because I don't want to enforce this boundary with you. Because let's be honest, some people it's easier for us to cut off or disengage than others, right? Based on whatever the dynamic is. So a lot of times we do these reactionary things to kind of get that, hey, now I don't want to, I'm trying not to do this with you. So I'm gonna shake this table, get your attention. But this is maybe the lesson, right? Where we have to be more confident, build our confidence in enforcing our boundaries and not fear of missing out or losing something, because understanding what's for us is going to be for us.
Yeah.
So yes, honor the requirement. Exactly. One of our viewers said that. So like to your point, like enforcing it. So a lot of times we don't enforce things. For me, I know I can speak for myself. I don't force things because I'm like, oh, if I enforce it, I may lose. This may end this thing. This may. And you don't want to, you want to hold on because you're trying to see what it can come to, but there has to be a confidence. Like, I'm gonna let it go. If I have to let this go or disengage, it's not even to totally let something go, but like, I'm gonna disengage you right now because you're not.
Yeah.
But we learned about that 2 weeks ago. Remember, you told us about that, your fear of scarcity, right?
Yeah. That's scarcity.
In those moments, you're saying, if I'm not enforcing this boundary, if I'm giving all of these opportunities for you to hurt me again, now I got to check it myself and say, okay, how am I playing a part in this? I'm accommodating your behavior. Now there's nobody else to blame but me. So now I have to, it always goes back to me. It always goes, how am I playing a part in this? I'm allowing this to happen because I'm scared you may leave. So I can't be mad at you because I'm not enforcing the boundary. Boundary the word is used a lot, but it is rarely enforced because it's a hard stop. There's no bargaining in boundaries. There's no bargaining with that. And it's not easy. It's not easy. I'm not an expert in it. I know what it is. I'm not saying I always do it.
But. Me either. Because how many of us really, really know all of our boundaries when we first meet somebody? Right? Really? It's like now at this stage, because I've been by myself for so long. God bless me. I feel like now I have
deserving it. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like now I'm like, I know there's a couple things that those are boundaries. And if you cross the line, then I will no longer be able to be in communication with you. Mm-hmm. But prior to now, I don't think I've ever set boundaries with people. I think I've reacted to behavior. And I think I've made excuses for my behavior and other people's behavior. And then I reacted by disengaging. Mm-hmm. And also, we talked about this a little bit, like, my ability to kind of manipulate conversations or get what I need to, like, find out what I need to know from a person without asking them always directly to. And I feel like for me, sometimes what I've done is I didn't set a boundary. But when I got when I got enough information out of this person and I realized you don't really actually care about me, so I'm just going to be done. There's no need for us to really talk about it. I'm just out. And it's like, I'm out. But I don't think that that's healthy either. Because now,
because that's kind of, I mean.
Because now thinking back to Mr. Oatmeal and Coffee, I'm wondering if I could have handled that more maturely.
Do you think so?
Yes. I don't think how I reacted was very mature, but I think it was more like self-serving because I was afraid if I told him how I feel, he was going to try to make me feel better. And then the cycle would have continued.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I had to like disengage because I didn't think I was strong enough to really like, if he said something to pull me in, I probably would stay. But if I don't hear nothing from him,
it's that control.
I'm strong enough to not. I don't need to talk to you. I can disengage from a person with communication, no problem. That I can do. I'm not proud of it, but I can do that part. But it was just like if I engage in any type of like communication with him, I might have found an excuse or you know what I mean. And it wasn't even crazy. It's just like this ain't going nowhere, and it needs to end. And it just needed to end.
Because do you think sometimes that's a self-defense mechanism, almost like with control and like if we say with me, like right, I do things to try to control the outcome or like to control because you think he's gonna like, oh, he don't care. It just may be a miscommunication, so we just cut it off. I know I'm gonna cut people off. I'll cut you off in a heartbeat, look you dead in your face, and walk right by you. Like it's not a problem. But to your point, I think there's levels of situations that you can definitely have a defense mechanism, a level of control. Like I'm gonna control this disappointment rather than letting it, or they may come back and say something like, hey, I want to make this work, or I want to hear rejection, whatever it is. I'm going to cut it off to avoid all of that.
Ooh, and rejection? Me and rejection? I can take it now, but then, oh no, me?
That's what I was going to ask you. Looking back, honestly, asking yourself, for Mr. Oatmeal, do you think you did the best you could for what you had? Do you think you did the best you could? That's his name officially.
I know.
Do you think you did the best you could for the tools you had at that time? Because you're saying you think you could have handled it better. Did you know better at that time? Did you have the tools to do that? Or did you make a conscious choice to say, I'm going to be immature in this moment?
That's a great question. So it's two things. I knew better than to participate in the relationship at the level that I did.
Okay.
I knew that this relationship wasn't going to go beyond a certain point. But I continued to engage even though I knew better because I needed what I wanted. Okay. And as long as I was getting enough of what I wanted when I needed it, it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I realized, oh, wait a minute, I just turned 40. I just survived the pandemic. And this person ain't really tapped in with me like that.
Mm.
Why am I still doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we spent some time together during the pandemic. And I was just like, I can't explain it. It was just like something in my spirit. It was like, okay, this is it. This is a wrap.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now that's the spring. May, that's like March, April. My birthday is in June. So still from March, April, I was still kind of like slowly like pulling away, but I still spent my birthday with him. So it's, you know what I mean? So it was like I knew better, but I was still engaging because I needed.
It was convenience.
Yes, it was convenient, and it was just like, it was like
Familiar.
Clarity.
and it was like a vice. I needed something to go the way I needed it to go. I needed, yeah, you know, like I could control this thing because this thing was working in this particular area. But during during the pandemic and like around my birthday, it wasn't hitting the way it used to hit. So I was like,
Literally.
shut up, Kiki, cut it out. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't manifesting in the way I needed it to. So I was like, okay, it's me. I gotta, like, you know what I'm saying? Because listen, some people will go on a ride with you as long as you allow them and open the door.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? And I can't fault him for that because I knew better. So when I was like, all right, I've never blocked anybody in my life. I've never been this person. And that's what I did. I had to block him. I sent him a message. I was like, hey, I can't do this no more. I wish you well. And then I blocked him.
Jesus.
And that was the last time we spoke. I seen him one time though.
How was that interaction?
It was very awkward because if there has been some changes in his life based on what I saw, and it wasn't the space to kind of like acknowledge our history. And the way in which he engaged with me, he didn't bring it up either. Okay. You know what I mean? Like he pretended that we didn't know each other like that the same way I did. So right. Cool. But yeah.
Can I go back to Jerome's question? Because that just resonated with me. Because sometimes when things don't happen or they're not the way you want them, you can kind of sit in that space of like to your point, I did the best I did with what I knew.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's something I struggled with. I've been struggling with, and I've reached a place of like understanding with myself. Not even forgiving myself, but like I knew, I did what I knew. I made the decisions based on what I knew at the moment. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we replay, what about I did this differently? Or what about I did this differently? What I said this differently? What about just been quiet? But I think I know now that all the things that happened was like this point was a lesson for me. Showed me my areas in which I need to improve on, areas where I have to be more in tune to. Even like we talk about, some things are spiritual, and knowing, like, especially for me, desiring, I'm just talking about romantically, I desire partnership and marriage, right? And so knowing that there will be some things that require me to be quiet, and I might have to be more go internal and tap into my higher power and my source to be able to navigate such situations rather than having to react and try to control. I have control spirit. I got a little control in me. Try to control it and try to, navigate things, but letting things be and develop as they going to naturally develop. And me learn to take a step back, but also knowing, one thing I learned is to communicate my boundaries. The scary part was the enforcement part, and the other part was like knowing, tapping into the spiritual side of things and navigating both. I knew I had to. I started to tap into that during like the last year and a half, but I realized even now it was important for me to pull away, for me to focus on this more. So whatever next chapter comes in my life, I'm more prepared for it. Like, this is a huge lesson from the past year and a half, and now it's like I'm doing the reflection stage, but I kind of I was able to free myself and knowing that I did the best I could, what I knew,
Yeah. Yeah.
and learn from that. So I just that question really resonated. That's something I
Mm.
struggle with.
Whew. So, Mr. Foster, what else you gonna share?
What else you got? What else y'all want to unpack?
The
Listen,
second
I'm here for all of it because I think so. Okay, question. I don't know how much you want to share because you said, like me and Kiki have been talking about this. Like, I feel like I'm in a deep state of repair and recovery.
Mhm.
Right, I'm recovering from 2024. I'm also recovering from versions of myself where I probably wasn't as kind or loving to myself,
Mhm.
like that whole worthiness thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, and Kiki, been talking about things that she's like figuring out. So, what would you share about your repair, like what you're repairing, and what does that look like? And like, what are your key, like, what are some key or like some gems that you
Yeah.
could share? You be going off in the comments. Like, I think you told, what did you, didn't he say something about, was that you or the other Jerome that said that, the gallery is, it's not a gallery without the painting? That was you?
Yes.
him, it was him.
So
That was you, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, so like I want to know.
these things just come to me. I really don't think about them. They just come to me in a moment. I just follow spirit when it tells me to speak. But I will say, um, the major thing that has helped me, and because I truly believe everybody is on a journey of recovery from whatever that may be, whether it's your past trauma, whether it's relationships, whether it's the way you used to speak to yourself. Everybody's recovering from something, right? So along my journey, I have learned one about being present. That is very important to me. My mother passing away and realizing how short life is, I wanted to remain present. And that comes in many different forms. Even overthinking about the future takes me out of the present, right? So being present means many things in many different moments. That's first, remaining present. Two, when you talk about the tools and things that I do, uh, the most honest conversations that I have over the past 6 years have been in the mirror, butt naked with myself. Like, that's the only way I can explain it. Like, that's when I'm truly vulnerable, when I'm honest with myself and be like, okay, you don't like this. This is where it is. This is what you did to get here. What you did. Like, these are the conversations I have to have with myself. And I know it sounds cheesy, but it is so, it has been so instrumental to me. Mel Robbins, I know you newly introduced to her, but she has a book called The High Five Habit, changed my life. So quickly, I'll tell her version of it. The High Five Habit, and what it is she was going through just one of the hardest times of her life. She lost everything from her first book and really was down. And she got up one day and she looked in the mirror and she was just like having one of those honest conversations with her and was like, girl, you look like shit. Like, what are you doing with your life? And so jokingly, she just put her hand up and she just high-fived the mirror and said to herself, like, we got this. We're going to figure this out. So it made her laugh in the moment. She was just like, oh, so silly, Mel. She said, so the next day she went up, she remembered the day before. So she did it again. She just high-fived herself. And she said realized it made her feel good to look at herself intentionally in the mirror, have a conversation with herself, spirit to spirit, beyond the flesh, and say, what are we going to do today? So she began to high five her habit. She said something amazing happened on the third day, that when she woke up, she started to get giddy. Like, you know how that giddy feeling, like you're about to go see your best friend? She said she realized, because she had started this ritual, that she was going to see her best friend every morning, which was herself. She created a relationship with her reflection. So then, Mel Robbins, she goes on this whole scientific study about what high fives are. What if I was next to you and you high five somebody, neuropathically, we're already connected to good memories. So high fiving someone makes you feel good. You rarely say grandma died and high five somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about what a high five is and what that does to your body and how it just drops dopamine in your body and it's a natural high. So I started doing that with myself, and I started doing this high five habit, and I would go in the mirror and I would just tell myself, give myself affirmations. Like, I started to build a relationship with myself. And I know now I would have never met my partner if wasn't intentional about working on this Jerome, and who Jerome is, and what do I want, and what do I like, and what do I value, and what do I want to present to the world. And he always tells me too, he says his past relationships have prepared him for this one. I truly feel the same way. That's when I talk about all things are lessons. So the only thing I can say as far as like how I got to where I am now is really building a relationship with me, truly loving who I am in each version. Yes, I got the surgery. I gained 20 pounds. Like I go up and down, but I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, okay, if you don't like this, fix it. But love where you are right now, regardless. Like you've been bigger, you've been smaller. Like even if I look back at my videos on my show and I'm like, oh, I could have sang that better. K.E.A.L should check me on it. She was like, don't do that. So stop doing that. Like the show was great. Stop doing that. But like even you look at stuff and you're like, okay, that's what it was. It was amazing. Let's practice and we'll do it different next time. So giving yourself grace, so important. I think if a lot of people in this world were more self-aware, literally world peace. We literally would have a better world. Like, and I always tell people just like, just don't be a jerk. Like, just don't be a jerk. Like, it's very simple. Each religion, whether you're Pentecostal Christian, whether you Baptist, whether you Catholic, whether you
same thing.
Don't be a jerk, bro.
And that's universal. That is universal.
But you know what? Don't behave that way. People who love to, I know when I'm acting out and when I got an attitude, it's because I'm not checking something within me, you know? So I think that's just the golden rule. Like, you gotta be obsessed with you in the sense of like every situation, I'm gonna check myself, I'm gonna love myself, and I'm gonna do better.
Yeah.
You gotta be obsessed with yourself, but understand that nobody else has to be obsessed with you.
No.
That's one. And then the other part, and then the other part about like not being a jerk, we live in a world where we normalize bad behavior.
Yes. It's celebrated.
Like bad behavior is celebrated. And it's like, I'll be watching this podcast. I think it's called something about the two black kids. I don't know. It's a husband and wife. They make me laugh.
The one you go to me.
And then she'd be like, bad human. And I'll be like, yes, this person is a bad human. Like these things are not okay. Like it's not okay to celebrate bad behavior. And it's not okay.
I don't sound like the old uncle, but like the Bad Girls Club, when you see stuff like that, when you see like stuff, our generation, like it just breaks my heart that they're, you know,
that's where
that's celebrities when they act a fool, like that's what gets the front page. You know?
It's terrible.
I get it, it's a business, but it's not good for humanity. It's just
no. I feel like there's this conversation between tradition and trend, right? And proximity is so important. Like, so like, you know, I work a lot with young people, and I remember growing up, your proximity to negative behavior was based on your environment in which you lived, the people you actually saw and walked past every day. And what a lot of people don't realize is that we're now in a world where young people are growing up with proximity to negativity globally. It's right in their hand. So you're no longer just walking past the alcoholic or the crackhead in your neighborhood. You're able to see the drug addicts that live 50,000 miles away, and
are being getting shared in likes and views, and you're thinking that's lit.
Like, and then it's like the young people, and then it's like the teenagers, and then it's like the young adults, and then it's like
the older adults.
It's just like everybody is being impacted, and it's like, nah. Yes, there are some traditions that we grew up with that may have been harmful, but there are a lot of traditions in terms of tact, in terms of how you treat people, in terms of how you communicate with people. There are some things that we need to hold on to a little bit, because they be out here. What is happening?
I do, and I don't want to get too churchy, but it is spiritual warfare out here. And I feel like if you're not spiritually fit, because we talk a lot about physical fitness, we talk about mental health, but spiritual fitness is actually a thing, and it takes routine and practice and ritual. And if you're not connected and grounded within your soul and your spirit, then you can get shaken and influenced by many things, especially what you see with scrolling. You wake up and you open your phone, all of a sudden you got an attitude, and you like, because that stuff has got your spirit, right? With that being said, as a connoisseur of human behavior, and I'm with you there. Like I love to watch, different reality shows and things for that. But I know that I'm spiritually fit enough to do that. There was a time I had to turn it off. Early on in my recovery journey, I couldn't watch certain things because that stuff would influence me. It would bring up stuff. I would emulate things. But now that I'm spiritually fit enough to handle that kind of material, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think if we start there and people are self-aware and saying, you know what, this is really not good for me right now to ingest this.
Yeah.
You know, you have to think about what you ingest. Even the music you listen to influences your day. You know, like when you have awareness of that, then you're able to move different. Yes, there are sometimes I want to listen to Nuck and Buck, right? Like there's sometimes I need that, right? But a lot of times I know the music that I listen to in my car. It's to prepare me for my day. It's you know, you have to be very intentional about what you ingest. Movies. You know, and I'm talking as an artist who's in this business, and I'm not knocking nobody for getting work. You know what I mean? Like, do your thing, but also just be aware of what you're doing. You know, because
I was talking about
even.
Yeah, like to your point, the spiritual fitness, but also I was talking about this morning is like not only emotional intelligence but spiritual intelligence.
Oh yeah.
And then to your point, like knowing when to like even this week, I text Jazz like, "Oh, this is spiritual," because something was just like stuff was happening, and I was running there like. Yeah. I was like, hold up, this is, and I'm getting into the practice now. I'm stopping, like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What is this? Because I felt like at some point last year, I was like, this feels like I told her, I said, this feels like a spiritual attack. Like this is because some things that happen, you cannot even understand what's happening. Like what is going on? And that's why we have to build ourselves up. So when those things happen, to my point I was saying before, like being able to take a step back, if that means I got to take a step back and pray, or like, hold on. And this week I was definitely feeling like just the last few weeks of being tested. I was like, Jazz, you know what? This is spiritual. Like I had to like take a step back and like, okay.
And that's a major thing that was different about this time. Before, I used to like try to work on the outside in. Like I was like, okay, I just got to be skinny. Just let me be skinny. So I'll do whatever I need to do to be skinny, and then I'm gonna be better. And then I realized, oh, this is not working, because I had cycles of that. I'm Lindsay Lohan to Luther, Lindsay Lohan to Luther. Like that was my cycle. Like I was going. It was getting weird, right? So this time,
Lindsay and Luther. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah. And so this time around, I worked from the inside out. So I went to rehab first. I cleared that part of my life, which is out of control. So I'm like, all right, I'll do that. Then I got my spiritual fitness. Okay, what do I believe? What is my higher power? What's my relationship with God look like? Not what I was taught. What does my relationship with God look like? Who am I? What's my connection? God, just meet me where I am today, right? So then I started to get the inside out. So all the inside was working. So when it was time for me to lose the weight, and when it was time for me to, you know, go to a doctor, be really intentional about my physical health. So I went and got the emotional stuff together, right? Then I went and got, you know, the physical stuff. So all of those things, when you work from the inside out, then you're able to live a free life, you know? So, and now with all that, you know, financial wholeness is like, I'm able to now, like, I got good credit now. Like I've been like so good at like my financial, because you know I love Tiffany and Liche, the bunch of Nietzsche. So now I'm like able, because I am whole. I'm like, so that part, like I could pay my bills early now. You know what I mean? Like I'm able to save a little something now. I'm able to be financially mature in that way. So you just want to be a whole person.
The other part of the title for today is wholeness. And wholeness is a state of balance and completion that involves the mind, body, emotions, and spirit. And all those things, you say you tackle each part of yourself that helps you be present to do the thing that, okay, let me fix my credit. Let me be more financially aware and fiscal. Like
start from the inside first.
Right. It's just like it's the journey. It's like starting on the inside. Like we talked about my weight loss journey, like start doing the internal work. What is going on here, so I can go forward and do these things. So today, even I had the moment like I said, Mary was like, I don't like what I'm seeing, but I'm not gonna fix that. Okay, what do I have to do to fix this to get this little extra pudge in the belly section? Also, to your point, like learning, like today I was in a car. Like, okay, if I get this little extra bonus, am I gonna pay my car off early? I'm gonna put something like now. Like, every time I get a little money, I put some to the side, like just I will spend it versus spend it on the side and build. Because the point is not only to be here present, but also build a legacy. It has to leave behind to those who. So that wholeness, when you really learn the parts of the internal and all those things and build it, the balance of it, and no, it doesn't have to be perfect all at the same time, but it's a process. And embrace it. Yeah.
So it's a couple things. So when you were
talking about loving your body too, but go ahead.
That's the second thing that I want to get into. So the first part is when you was talking about like just spiritual fitness, and Kiki talking about like it feels spiritual, like that spiritual, you know, like when you feel like you're spiritually at war. I remember at the end of 2024, I had called my aunt because like she's like one of the few like elders in my life that I know I can talk to about God in my walk. And I was just telling her, and it was like something crazy had happened that day. Oh, I had got a call, like you got to go to court for eviction. I was like, what? I just I just paid it. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
I was kind of like, I was like falling out. I was over it. And she was like, first of all, get up off the floor. I was like, well, why are you talking to me like,
get up.
Get up. She's like, get up. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, well, maybe I should just start selling, my furniture so I can be prepared if I got to leave. She was like, first of all, don't say it. Don't say it again. She said, don't. And I'm like, and you can tell, like, when they start, like perching their mouth up, don't say it again. I said, okay. And then she was like, you don't see what's happening? I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, you are now building your relationship with God. And she was like, and I was like, yeah. And that's when I started coming up with like the understanding of that. I had been operating off of residual faith that was instilled in me from my grandmother. I've always had a relationship with God. I knew God. I knew how to pray. I knew how to treat people, all of these things. But my personal relationship with God, it's different now. Because I knew of. But now we have an intimate relationship.
There it is.
You know for yourself. I know for myself.
And she was like, you don't think, she said, this is spiritual warfare. I was like, I don't think like that. I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, girl. And she went, I can't remember everything she said. And she just like broke it down. She was like, you always got to operate. She said, when things keep happening, she was like, that's the devil and that's spiritual warfare. She was like, you gotta set yourself apart and understand.
Yeah, we're going like this.
I was like, oh. And I was like, wait, it's another element to it. It's not just me praying.
We are spirits. We are spirits.
I was like, me being disciplined and praying is not enough. She was like, absolutely not. She was like, that's your armor. She was like, that's just
literally, yes.
That's how you protect yourself. She said, because the moment you start having an intimate relationship with God, she was like, it's coming at you.
So it's just like physical health, right? You know, physical health, or you stay in shape, you have to not only work out, but you have to watch what you eat, right?
Yeah.
So when you talk about spiritual fitness, so yes, that's my armor. Yeah, I got to pray. I got to do the practice. I got to do the rituals, but I have to watch what I ingest. So when I speak life and death, my tongue is very important of how I use it, right? So you have to watch what you say. Jerome, if he's watching this, he's going to laugh because he knows I always go here. So I always tell people everywhere I go, my message is very clear and very simple. The same way we have a higher power that's here to serve, that sends angels to serve and protect us, baby, you better believe there's a lower power who's sending those demons to destroy and distract us. And that's what it comes in. When you start hearing those voices, when you start doubting yourself, when you be like, go back. I'm talking like he lives. Go back down the street where you came from. My mother would talk to that thing like it was a off the street. Like, don't come around me or my family. Go down there.
You're not welcome here.
You have no place here, huh? Fear, you have no place here. You know, you're not welcome here. You know, so like them old mothers used to speak to that thing. We have to be very clear about what we say and not to start to believe the lies. Yeah.
And so that was the first part. So then the second part was getting into the whole body thing, right? So this is where I am now. And it's funny because me and my nutrition coach have had this conversation. And I feel like a part of my journey with my weight is really the cornerstone for me to build not just my own personal, not just my worthiness, right? Okay. But it's also the catalyst for my personal development. And when I say personal, and also spiritual too, but more of my personal development. I think because I can understand how it feels to be in a body that you're uncomfortable in, I think I treat people better. And I think God has given me so many things. I am great at a lot of things. I do a lot of things well. I am so blessed in so many areas. Yeah. And sometimes I'll be like, God, it's just one thing. Like, why we just can't get over this hump? And I feel like, and God be like, listen, I'm refining you. I'm refining you. You gotta chill. Like, just keep
the audacity
on.
Of him.
Right? And I'll be like, yo, like, what's happening? But it's like every time, and somebody had said this to me the other day, like they're tired of going through the cycle. And I said to him, I was like, I understand being tired of the cycle, I said, but there's something, I'm learning something. You got to be learning something new every time you go through the same cycle, especially if you're bringing tools from before into the new. And I think for me, because I was born sick, like I was a sick kid, and everything that has happened to my body wasn't from my doing. And I think that has been a really big part of my holdup. Because I think a lot of my weight is emotional. It's me not cleansing all of the, like, cleansing all of the muck. I never forget my therapist said to me, she was just like, when I told her about like something that happened with my mom, right? Well, I could share this because it's public knowledge. My mother got shot 3 years before the day I was born. Before I was born, she got shot, was declared dead, the whole thing. And she was just like, when you came through your mother, you came through trauma.
Wow.
And she was like, so you're cleaning up all of these things now? She was like, you've only been doing it a couple years. You've been living in trauma for 40 years.
Yes,
that part.
And she was like,
you can't walk into a forest for 10 days and then walk out for 2 days and then get out. It takes another it's
like,
gonna take a while to get your way out.
That's what I'm saying. She was just like, she was like, you are she said you are literally healing parts of your mother through how you live your life.
That's
I
crazy.
was like, what? And like, and then she went into all, we talked about all of the things. And she was like, you were born with inflammation. She said, you were born with all of these things in your body not operating right. And I was like, exactly. And I'm tired. I'm tired of having to clean up stuff. She was like, well, unfortunately, it's your responsibility to fix it. She was like, you may not have caused it, but there are parts that you still have to clean up. And it's even when I talk about, it's like, even when I think about my relationship with my parents, right? They did the best they could with what they had. But a lot of the stuff that I'm working on are things that I'm responsible now to clean up. And it's just like every year and every time I go through another cycle of inflammation or weight gain, it's like I get like a further awareness of myself. And I'm just like, okay. But I think where I am now is that I'm trying to get to a place where I can be the whole person that I am, whatever size that I am. And that's the work. That's what I'm doing. Like, that's the work that I'm doing now. Like figuring out how to be whole. While I'm also trying to heal the body that I didn't really want. You know what I mean? Like, it's,
because when you get the body you want, that stuff is still going to be there.
It's going to be there.
It's still going to be there. So it's like, why not do yourself the service of allowing yourself to feel beautiful and feel present and feel moment and feel at whatever size you are. That's the true flex, bro. That's the true flex.
And that's why many people have the surgery and regain, because they haven't done the work.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. And I know I go back into old behaviors. I can tell when I start eating a little too much, going back to the pints. Okay, hold on. I'm old behavior. Got to check myself. Sometimes I sit in it. Sometimes I don't check it fast enough. But then I know I'm grateful that I have the self-awareness. Somebody say self-awareness to know when those bad behaviors come up. What is that I'm unpacking? And that's why I said we're all different, but the same. I can relate to you to a T when you were talking about your emotions and feelings and saying you were born that way. I was born with a mental disposition that I am an addict. No matter what, I cannot stop. I can't. So I get very resentful when like people can go out and have cocktails and think, I can't do that because it destroys my life. You know what I mean? No heat, no judgment to anybody that can. I just can't. So I can understand the frustration when you like people just eat whatever they want and don't gain weight. Like, I'm over here like making my own butter, bro. Like, it's like, frustrating. Trust me.
It is not.
I get it.
And just to add another layer to it, the frustration for me is that if you came in my home right now, everything in my, like I can say for the last 5 years, probably 6, the way I eat, the way I operate, what I buy, what I ingest, I'm not out here living crazy. I make a lot of my food. I drink so much water. I don't keep crazy snacks in my house. I don't eat takeout. Like I don't eat McDonald's and all. So it's like and that's another level of frustration. And that's what kind of like got me to the spiritual part. It's because I'm like, okay, it's something spiritually that I gotta figure out because my frustration is that I'm doing all the things already.
Yeah.
And I'm still having this fight. It's like I'm fighting with myself. And in that fight, I feel like I'm not appreciating this body because although I have challenges with this body has also been very kind to me. And it has gotten me through some really, really tough times.
Yeah.
And it's carried me through some things that I didn't think I would, make it through. But at the same time, I'm complaining about her.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like,
yeah, I always say I can relate to you too with that. We'll talk about spiritual assignment. I think about I think about alcohol all the time, or I think about using drugs, and it's annoying that to always be thinking about these things. But then that is the very thing that has put me in places, in rooms, to be of service to people in the most profound ways I never expected. Kyosha was able to come to my support group. I run a support group every Tuesday. Had about 75 people that come every week. Like these are people that
I cried the whole time. I cried.
What a blessing. And that comes from me being a drug addict for many, many years. And here God has shifted me to say, I carried you through that because I need you to do this. But I'm like, still take it away. I'm still complaining about it. Yeah. But it's the very thing that keeps me humble. You said that's the reason why you treat people the way you do, because you're experienced. It is the very reason why I look at people and say, oh my word, I wonder what you went through to get there. It's my compassion is like, no matter what my skin may be doing, it may be fluffy, I am spiritually fit. I am spiritually jacked, bro. Like, because I'm constantly thinking about that. Go ahead, Kyosha. I feel like you have something to share.
Yeah, because you told the story the other night, and because we're talking about readiness in the sense of like these things that kind of have an Achilles heel, like I thorn in the side, like a weight, or like even addiction. And sometimes that could feel like you ask God, like, what are you trying to teach me here? What are you trying to show me? And like learning that in these areas is teaching you something. And you shared a story on Thursday night about working at the theater and how God humbled you because you're like, I could do that. Right. And he's like, but you're not ready. And that's what we're talking is making me realize sometimes we get frustrated because we're like, but God, I want it now. Yeah. He's like, I know you want it, but you're not ready yet. There's some things you still got to learn. And just as y'all were talking, that came back to me. It was powerful to like, because we want certain things. We want to get past certain things. But like my pastor said something this morning. He said sometimes we want to rush to the next thing, thinking the assignment's in the destination.
It's not. It's not.
It's not. Like the assignment's not the destination. The assignment is the journey. And in those moments like that where you was on the side of the stage and like,
I gotta tell Jasmine now, so you can
tell the story.
So
but
the theater that I'm at, it's a beautiful theater. It seats over 700 and something people, depending on how whatever this. So I work. I work as a security guard there on top of my 800 other jobs. But so I work and I sit at the side of the stage and I see all these people perform and I see many different acts and wonderful music. And so one day I was sitting there and I'm like, I want to be back on stage, and I sit there in the audience and I'm looking like, and I'm just like, I'd be looking at people and I'd be like, I could do that. Like, they're not even that good. And one day I said it and God said to me, that's why you're not ready. Clear as day. He checked me. Because here I am starting to critique, judging people. These people who work in it hard, I know how hard it is to get on that stage. These people who work and put their everything, their life, their passion. And I'm like, God was like, that is exactly why I can't trust you with that. You're not ready for that responsibility. Immediately check me. Ever since I was like, very good job, God. But in that moment, I realized we have to be responsible with the gifts. All those gifts you're talking about, like
the responsibility.
It is a responsibility to have these things. When I talk about, my addiction, being kind to people comes easy to me. That is like, I'm a compassionate person. That's not easy for everybody.
It's not.
So maybe it is my assignment to be a teacher and an example to those people. Maybe, I don't know. But that's why that full circle moment happened, because when God checked me, I realized, there is the journey is the assignment. Yes.
Yeah. God checks me on a regular basis.
Like you said last week.
I feel like every day God be like,
He loved little old you that much that he would take time.
I'm telling you, like sometimes be like, yo, bro, what's up? Like today, When I did my prayers today, I was like, listen, I'm just asking you to be mindful of what's happening with me inside. I'm not asking you to do nothing.
But he already know.
I just want you to know this is what I'm experiencing. And God was like, get yourself about this bed. Go outside and take a walk.
It is. Like, that's it.
Oh,
that's it.
Get up.
Get up. But God was like, get up. No, I don't want to. I didn't want to. I didn't want to do nothing, but I was just
that's okay too. I think that's the beautiful thing in relationship with God is like being able, like, yo, I don't want to, I don't get it, or I'm not feeling you right now. Like John Hannah had Saturday night devotion, and he said like his mom had developed lung cancer, right? And he did all the things. He did all the things supposed to do, and within 7 months she was gone. He was like, yo, I did everything you told me to do, and I get the desired outcome, and I don't understand, and I'm mad, right? And but even the relationship we have is that we can talk to him about those things. Like, even like, I don't want to. God, I know you said to love. I know you said to be, but I don't feel like it right now. Help me. And that's okay too. That's how we should talk to him. There's no formality to this thing. Like, yo, help me. Because I don't like what you did. I don't like what I'm just setting your plan. Sometimes it's difficult for me. Yeah. I know you can do it. I believe I see all the things you've done so far, and your plan has got me to this point, each of our points in our lives. But sometimes I don't understand what I don't understand your plan. I don't understand the process. It's
but
not
why?
Lean not. Lean not.
Why don't you understand? You literally just said, and we all do this. You literally just said, I've seen that you worked it out every single time, but I just don't understand why. Like, why do we do that?
Why do we do it? And
I've seen the proof, but why do we do that?
But this one I hear is hard for me. This I know you did in this area, but this well, we do it every time. But that's the human nature. Like, he knows that we're. Think about even, I know I hate to be so biblical. I'm in my stage right now, but even like Adam and Eve, right? When the serpent played on her desire and her curiosity. The commandment was, if you eat of this fruit, you'll die. And serpent's like, you're not going to die, right? And it was like, you become like God. But he knows he created us like this. We have this, he gave us free will. He gave us, the inclination to have desire and curiosity that we can make choices or do things, and his plan. But even in that plan, that we may misstep and take another step, trying to understand it or input ourselves into his plan. He still finds a way to course correct us, and that's the love he has for us, right? Or he'll use that misstep we use to bring us back and teach us that lesson. That's kind of.
So I think people think faith, like having faith and saying you believe in God and doing the things that you create this belief that means everything is going to be okay. No, it does not mean that. It just means you got something else to lean on.
Yeah. And doubting is not a sin. We're human. We're going to have moments of doubt. It's just working ourselves, not staying in it. Right? It's just like, to your point, like when these thoughts come in, working through the thoughts, working and combating them, thinking all these things, think on the good things.
Yeah.
Bev Smith always says when she goes to challenges, she would always say to herself, "Oh, this is gonna be so good for the book. This is gonna be so good for the book." Because she knew, she knew that like every time, because she looked back her whole life, God has got her through every single thing. I mean, she's created an empire just by being herself. What a testimony she has. But she would always say to herself in those times when like she was, on TV, then had to ride the bus the next week, like, this gonna be good for the book. On the bus, like, this gonna be so good. Because God's gonna get you through it every single time. I gotta challenge you though, it is okay. Everything is fine. Everything, even when it's not, is fine. Why? Because I know on the other side of this, I'm gonna be stronger. I'm gonna come out with a lesson. Is it easy? No. Is it frustrating? Yes. Is it scary a lot of times? Of course. But I always look back at my life and I do this exercise with my group and say, let's take a breath. Evidence right there that you survive everything in your life. Each breath is evidence that you have survived every single moment. Each breath we take is evidence. So here we are on the H.E.A.L podcast.
I'm sorry.
No, that's real though. That's so real. I think about that too, because like in writing my memoir, and like I've started and I stopped and I started and I stopped. And sometimes I'll be like, ooh, I don't know how I'm gonna put this in here. How I'm gonna explain this. Ooh, I don't know where this gonna fit. But that's how I see it. But sometimes when you're in those moments where everything just feels heavy,
a lot.
off of me. Like you just want to get up off of me. But it's like, oh, it's another lesson.
Lucia, yeah. And I gotta do better with that too. When you talk about like circle of support and building community, Keisha's teach me to do better with this. Sometimes I don't allow her to feel what she wants to feel because I'd be trying to be like, yeah, but look at the other side, look at the pot, and like trying to make her shift the progress. But sometimes you gotta allow the people in your life to just feel what they feel in that moment. Like if you're angry, you gotta feel the anger, because if you store the anger, you're just gonna keep storing it on the bookshelf, and one day you're gonna cuss the lady out, the old lady in front of you, and be like, could you hurry up with your coupons? Because you ain't dealing with just
You
see what I'm saying?
No, that's real.
I got it from Jazz, because Jazz was like, sit in it. Because I always try to distract myself. Okay, because we think it's wrong to, because a lot of times, and this comes to culture and our upbringing, sometimes we're taught to get through it. Just call you. No, I'm angry.
I gotta feel anger. Yeah.
I'm sad right now. I'm sad.
What you do with the anger? It's what you do with the sadness.
So it's like I'm just acknowledging the fact in this moment I'm sad. In this moment, this makes me feel upset. I'm frustrated. This does not mean I don't believe God. It does not mean that I doubt God. I'm turning my back. But right now, in this moment, I'm sad. I'm going through something that's natural because we're human to be sad, to be upset. I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to sit in this uncomfortable to sit in it, because a lot of times we got to unpack. Sometimes people do things that trigger certain things. What is that triggering? Is that rage? Why is that rage? What's that really? What is that really hitting at? Someone not doing what you want them to do. Why is that bothering you so much? To sit in that and really sit with yourself is uncomfortable for a lot of people. When you're on this healing journey, you gotta be careful too, because sometimes you'll see those who are not working on it. You can see what they're doing, and they're like, they can't sit still. They don't like sitting with themselves. But that's comes in, and you have to like give them grace, because they're not on the same journey, or they're not on the same part of the journey as you. And it's like, you become even hyper with other people's behavior, because it's like, they can't sit still. That quiet is too loud for them.
And I know what it looks like because I've been there.
Ran from
the educator, right? Kind of like social worker in me. So, and I know sometimes it gets on Kiki's nerves, but so it's two things that's so you know people, right? And when you work with people a lot, and you work in social service, right? When you spend time with a person and you get to know the heart of a person, and you have conversations with them, and you're listening, right? And you're listening. For me, sometimes it's like, okay, cool. If I don't bring this to her attention right now, this conversation could be different in a week or two, because maybe she's not aware of how this can impact tomorrow or the next day, right?
And I struggle with
that. So it's like sometimes, because I know at her core, she's a good person. And I know that her heart is in the right place. And I know sometimes she don't want to hear it, but I would rather her be mad at me. I'm getting emotional. I would rather her be upset with me. I don't know why. I would rather her be upset with me in the moment, because I feel like deep down she knows she can trust me and I'm a safe space.
Trust, safe, yes.
Rather than her be reactive in a space with someone else, and then they have an incorrect perception of her.
And mishandle her emotions.
Her. So it's like, if she's talking to me and I'm listening for words, and I'm like, wait, Key, let's unpack that a little bit, or let's go back. Well, listen, remember this? Because if I don't, I'm gonna feel bad if 2 weeks from now she flipped the table and I knew it was coming and I didn't say nothing.
Yeah. That's
but
love.
as a friend, if I bring it to her attention, even if she don't want to hear it, she can't say, well, you didn't say nothing. Now you might be annoyed with me in a moment. She know I don't give a damn.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's like, I gotta say it, because I don't want this to become something that happens 2 weeks from now, and then you like, damn, I didn't even notice it. And then there's the other part where I get quiet and I don't give her long responses, and she'll be like, why you ain't got nothing to say? And I'll be like, I'm just letting you process.
I've learned the two. So when I get the praying hands, that's like, okay, this is for you to go figure it, go sit with it.
Be blessed.
Right, you got this, sis. I don't got it today. Okay, cool. I'll go over here and I'm gonna pray. But to your point, like, I am like Jasmine. I have my bark is bigger than my bite because at core I'm very sensitive, and so because of life experiences, I've had to become somewhat of a. I built a
Exterior.
exterior to protect that. Right. I've always been very emotional, and so a lot of times something will happen, and I consider the person and will hold off. Like, well, I'm gonna wait. It's not a good time. I'm gonna wait. And she's like, you got to tell them at the moment of offense or the moment that they overstep, you got to address it then. But a lot of times for me, it's hard because I'm always considering the other person. What I learned is folks don't consider you when they upset about something or they don't like something, they going. But I'm always like, oh well, and it's Tuesday and they have a lot of meetings on this day, or the dog just died. But if they have mistreated you, or if they had to be mistreated, but like they did something that you didn't like, it's hard for me sometimes, and I'll wait for a better time.
Well, let me challenge you with that.
Yeah,
you do that because you want to protect the person, right?
that's always where like I'm gonna wait. I'll wait it because I'm like, I'll wait.
But who is that benefiting?
No one, and that's the thing I had to learn. But I'm just saying, like
it's hurting you in the long run because that stuff
is building up a resentment.
Because it's going to live about their day.
Right, they going about their day, and I'm over here just sitting in it and stewing in it. And then when they do it again, I'm ready. Like, you know what? I'm frustrated because I haven't expressed it the first time, and that's a huge thing for me.
It's very much given. I beat you because I love you. Like I literally, I have to give this to you now because I love you so much. I feel like this is what.
And that's the thing. Like understanding that's love. Like to be like, yo, right now I don't like, and that's love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and so that's a lesson I had to learn. She definitely and I'm like, sometimes I'm like
all right,
Key. I was like, it's all in how you say it too. Like
and that's one thing I try to say. I try to say hard things well.
Mm-hmm.
I try to say hard things well, but it's like I don't know. There's something about me. I don't like when people are mistreated. Like at my core. Like, I don't like to see mistreatment of other people. I don't like I don't like oppressive behaviors. I don't like when you make people feel insignificant because of something. Like stuff like that grinds my gears, right?
Yeah. All about you said trust and delivery. Like when you learn you build a trust. You can tell me about myself, but say it in a way that I can receive
it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like when people use their position to manipulate people to harm them. You know what I'm saying? You use your
power down to them. Like I would never do that. You're like, okay, well,
I'm like, whoa.
I did.
Well, not never. I would never be like, I don't do that. Okay, you don't, but I do.
Oh no. But you know what I'm saying? So so there's
hold on. I had a moment.
It's okay.
Because I heard it. I heard you heard it. Because I said a couple weeks ago, like I would never do something, but it wasn't a sense of being to judge. It wasn't being judgy. It was me understanding that my awareness of being supportive to a friend is like, I learned that in that moment. That learning was like, I got to be careful of how I support someone. Mm-hmm. And so saying never is not a way. When I say never, it's not in a way to condemn or look down on someone. It's more of like, I take responsibility in how I love my friends. So my never is more of I take.
Yeah.
I understand the responsibility of that, so I think it's also too like understanding the context when you say never and how it's done, so I just wonder
that's real. Yeah. And it goes back to what Jerome said too before about vulnerability. And it's like operating from a place of vulnerability is hard. It's challenging work.
Yeah.
You have to use self-awareness. And it also means that you have to understand that you're not always right.
Yeah.
Your approach may not always land well. Mm-hmm. And it also lends the air that maybe you got to do some more work and you need to grow up a little bit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you talk about vulnerability, like, you might got some stuff you need to work through. I've
a couple pages, maybe a book, stuff,
That's what I love about the relationship I'm in now. I always say it's healthy because we have such clear communication and we're able to lifetime address situations and say, this is what I said versus what did you hear? That's always profound to me because when you stop and really take a moment, you start to realize you bring your past experiences to even what you hear and how you digest information. And even from the way like a coworker could say something with an inflection. I'm like, wait a minute. Meanwhile, they're just like, no, I just said your outfit looks nice. And I'm thinking like you trying to be funny. You know what I mean? I realized, oh, that still needs healing because I'm even hearing things, versus what people are saying. Profound stuff. Yeah.
But it's important, like I said, in your relationship, that both of you going in with that understanding. Because when you when there's just one person trying to get that, it's like you're pulling teeth. So you both have to come with that level of self-awareness to be like, okay. And even if you don't, you're not there yet being open to someone to teach you that. Being open to people, because we don't, like you said, we're not always right. Our person may not be, so it's like being a student and a teacher at the same time.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
To learn from each other.
That's good.
I'm just doing a time check. We're at 150.
Okay.
Let me ask y'all a question.
What's up?
Jerome, I'll start with you. So when did you realize, or have you ever come to the realization that you could cause harm to people that you love?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. So, all right. So I'm going to get real vulnerable. Me and one of my sisters haven't talked in a couple years. We had a really big blowout. My last intervention, and I had went through this very unhealthy, psychotic, if you will, episode when I was in my drug use. And, I was saying all crazy things like I wanted to harm myself, I wanted to kill myself, and all these things, and my sister, she just kept saying like, how dare you, like, you are so selfish, you are so selfish, like you are so. And in my mind I'm like, well, I'm harming myself, like I want to get out of here, I want to die. And then when I went through therapy, and one of my first therapists told me, she would say, versus saying what you heard, she was saying, you heard her say you're selfish, but what I'm hearing is her saying, I love you. Like, why would you want to leave here? And I love you. Like, and that always stuck with me. Like, I realized that the people around me saw value in my presence and saw that I had something to bring this world. And here the enemy is telling me that I'm not worth anything because I'm still holding on to these, these things I heard when I was a child. It wasn't until I hear from that I realized, wow, like there's power in just me showing up. There's power in me being present. There's power in me, giving someone a laugh. People need us around. Like, community is necessary. So I think that was sort of the catalyst to realize that there's power in your presence and you are affecting people you have no idea. I guarantee you there's a coworker watching you that you have no idea that is inspired by you. You know what I mean? Like, there's a childhood, person you probably in junior high that you probably crossed their mind and like, I wonder how she's doing. Like, her fashions were so cool, or she always made me laugh, or she was so smart. There are people that you impact along your life that you have no idea. So that was sort of the introduction to the power of your presence, and also like our words have power. Hopefully that answered your question.
No, it did. Kiki, what about you?
Can you repeat it one more time?
So it's like, at what point, or are you at a point where you realize that you can cause harm to people that you love?
So yeah, I'm aware that I can. For me, parenting really kind of made me aware of that. It did make me aware of that. Because kids can see you, they see everything. The most vulnerable parts, they see when you're good, when you're up, when you're down, in between. My kids see my mood swings more than anybody else does. And being aware of how I handle them, the words that I speak to them, even when I'm upset with them, I'm constantly checking myself because I understand the power of words, and I understand, like, I always play in my mind what things that have been said to me and how I say things to them when I'm upset. And even if I ever take a misstep, I have to say, I'm sorry. Or even like yesterday, I was really Madison was just on my nerves. Kids, she just woke up early. It's been going on. I'm like, Madison, this is the one day I text you. I was like, this is the one day I have nothing to do. I'm not leaving this house. I'm staying in the house. I'm not doing nothing. Leave me alone. Right. And Manny came upstairs and I was just like, ugh, like I just was in this funk. He was like, Mom, what's wrong? I was like, nothing. He's like, you in a funk? I was like, yeah, I just need a moment. Like, today was just a lot. I'm overwhelmed. And he now knows like he can step in and kind of help with in the kitchen and stuff. And I just went in the room and kind of decompressed. But I'm very careful because they see all of that. Yeah. And because they're the closest to me, I can hurt them in my frustration because They're the ones that's like Maz, especially. She's very clingy. She's so unique. And one of my the mothers of our church, she always says to me, every child is different. And I'm like, why do you keep saying that to me? But it finally resonated. And with Madison, like Manny was very self-sufficient from a young age. Give him what he always had, always been an artist from a young age, can occupy himself with drawing, creating stuff. Massey requires way more interaction, attention. I got to keep her on the, like, I got to give her things to do, or she's just going to she'll make a mess. Like, it's just going to be, and that will frustrate me because I'm used to setting and forgetting type of kid. And she requires my attention, my presence, and that is something different for me. And I don't know why it's such a challenge for me. So I have to constantly check myself, and even dismissing her because that can hurt her. So parenting is what really taught me how, that I can hurt someone in my actions and my words. Like, not saying she's stupid, but saying, hey, that was a little dumb. I don't like that. That decision was a little, my kids laugh while I say things like
best choice.
Yeah, and not to be offensive to anyone, I say, Manny, okay, I know how my mind works.
Yes.
So we were driving down the street, and a guy was walking down the street with one of those safety vests, and he had Velcro sneakers. And I said, Manny, sometimes you have to keep wearing Velcro sneakers. He was like, Ma, that's crazy. I was like, but that's an inside joke. I know my mind is kind of, but I was like, sometimes you have to keep wearing Velcro sneakers. He was like, Ma. I was like, but my kids also understand my humor, and
I tell your sister that she should write. She should really be writing. Like, she really needs to be in a writer's room.
Podcast is timely. She needs healing.
Yes, like she be killing me now. Her comedic is real, but
we have that. Yeah.
What about you, Jasmine?
Yeah,
so that's why I act. So it's a couple things that I'm experiencing, just through some relationships with friendships and like family members. I don't want to get into the details of it because I haven't talked to them about it specifically. But
that's what we unpacked the other day.
No, not just that one, but it's a collection. So it's a couple things that I'm realizing that I'm very conscious of how I treat people, right? And I try to lead with kindness. But one thing I realize is that when I'm disappointed in people, my reaction to disappointment can cause harm to them. Even though they've disappointed me, how I react to their disappointment can cause harm to them. So it's kind of like if I get into a space where I need a moment, I don't want to talk right now. I don't want to, I just don't have it right now to do it. It's harmful to them because their access to me may look different.
Do you express that to them, that you need a moment?
That's the thing. Some of them, yes, some no. Some of them I haven't, because their engagement in our friendship changed and I didn't try to fix it. So that's one thing. And it's like, I am a fixer. Let's talk about it. Let's communicate. How can we come to a meeting of the minds? I'm cool with agreeing to disagree. But I realize in this season of my life, I'm realizing that people expect me to fix it all the time. And I'm in a space where I haven't really had the energy to fix a lot of things. And I think that may have caused harm to them.
But I also want to I want you to finish.
So that's one part. The other part is that, and I know it's probably going to sound terrible, a lot of times my reaction is really how I felt. And when I said it, I meant it. And I'm just not one of those people that apologizes
for how I feel. Yeah.
For how I feel. And it's like, and unless, okay, now, if it got to a point where maybe I like nudged the table or shook the table and my reaction was more than you thought it should have been, but I said how I truly felt, I'm not going to apologize just because you apologize for something that you did that hurt my feelings. So if I've expressed that I'm hurt, like, hey, this thing that you did really hurt my feelings and I didn't appreciate it, and then you apologize, and I say, okay, I accept your apology. I'm not someone who's just going to apologize because you apologize. Because my reaction to the infraction was genuine. I was really hurt. So, and that's happened with a couple people within the last year or so. So it's like I'm trying to work through that. Um, and I'm being honest. It ain't on my spirit. And I've been talking to God, and I'm just like, God, if there's something I need to learn, I'm open to learning. And I'm just like, put it on my heart to guide me to how you want me to handle this. Because if I leave it up to myself, it will just fix itself, or it will happen on its own. But it's like there's a part of me that feels like people always want me to fix things and then get mad at me because I have the ability to fix it. And then when they decide not to engage, it's still left up to me to fix it. But I don't want it to come across as because I'm not a victim in any of this, right? But I'm okay with being a villain sometimes. So it's like it's this crux of it's like a vortex. Yeah. And it's like it's going, but it's just like I feel like I treat people very delicately. I'm honest, but I try not to say things that will be disrespectful. I try to figure out how can I best communicate how I'm feeling? How can I best support you in whatever it is that we're having? I don't know if I get it right or wrong, right? So far, I feel like I get it right a lot of times based on what other people say to me. But I always say, hey, if something in this thing is not working for you, let me know. Because if you tell me that I've hurt you, that's different. So if you say to me, hey, something you did harmed me or hurt me, I apologize. Tell me how I can do it better next time. If you're direct with me, we can have a direct conversation. But if it's up for me to kind of analyze all the things that happen, and then I got to come back to you at this particular space in my life, I don't got that kind of energy.
Well, let me challenge you, because Lisa Nichols always says we are teaching everyone around us how to treat us by the way that we behave, right? You started this conversation with "I'm a fixer," right? This is no heat, no judgment. This is just my assessment, my experience of your story right now, of your experience. You said I'm a fixer, and then so now everyone's expecting you to do exactly what you told them you're going to do. You know, so that's where the self-awareness, when we talk about this conversation of self-awareness, it's not you're a bad person. It's not you did a bad thing. It's just, okay, let me take a breath here. Let me analyze this. I present myself as a fixer, and now everybody wants me to fix, but now I'm getting resentful and exhausted from it. So now you got to move different now. You know what I mean? And the people that are supposed to be in your circle of support will stay, and the ones that won't, I wish you well. You're not your time here.
That's the part. That's where and I'll be feeling bad because of that.
That's not a bad thing, no.
Okay.
No, seasons and reasons, and not everybody's meant to be along the whole journey. They're just,
So no, but this is why I brought it up, because I want insight from other people. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Nothing really in life is nothing. None of these things are keeping me up at night. You know what I mean?
She said what she said, very much.
Kiki, don't say it like that, because I try not to operate in my arrogance. I really do.
It's not. Is it arrogance or just I
don't know, or just my truth, my authenticity?
How you feel in the moment?
It doesn't sound arrogant. No,
it's not arrogant.
Because it's just I'm very cautious of what I say to people. So if I said something to you, 90% of the time I meant what I said. You may not agree with what I said, but that's how I genuinely
or sometimes how you say it. It's not always what you say, it's how you say it.
It's how you say it, right?
So, yeah.
And I'm be honest with you. In 2024, I only cuss one person out.
Let's celebrate that.
Let's celebrate that. And at the end of that conversation, we got to a full
resolution.
Resolution.
That's
and
good.
They understood why I was upset, and I understood why they was upset, right? And I told them what the issue I had was, and they told me their issue. And there's some things that we agreed to disagree on. And I was like, okay, cool. But do me a favor. Don't call my phone with this type of thing ever again, because I can't. And that's what I said. I said, do me a favor. don't call me with this particular issue ever again. And here are the reasons why. And this is how, because I don't want to have this conversation again. So I'm not going to engage. And it's just like, so I really want to be the full and whole version of myself. And there's no part of me that sits around and thinks about ways to harm people. But I'm aware that I'm human and I'm not perfect. I ain't Jesus. You know what I'm saying? There are things that I could do that could harm someone. I want to be conscious of those things. I want to be present. I want to be very self-aware. But sometimes I feel like people just be doing the most.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that we talk about power and presence too. I teach a culture of care class. I teach orientation for all new employees that are coming into the class, and one of the sections of my class is talking about being responsible for the energy we bring in each space that we come in. Right, and sometimes that is going to be a self-assessment. We don't realize how powerful our presence is. So I would say to you, my queen, is maybe the people in your life, your capacity may be just a little too full for them to handle. So you're saying, if you're saying something, we always say clear as kind. You're being clear in your communication. You're saying what you mean what you say. You're not shaking in it. Maybe those people can't handle that. If you genuinely are saying it with, compassion and kindness, that could be a them issue and not a you issue. Do you know what I'm saying?
And that's what I was communicating.
There's parts of that that's true.
There's parts of that is true.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
In her situation.
Got it. Yeah.
Right? In the multiple, like in these situations.
Yeah. Throughout, yeah.
But I think one of the things that happens is that when I'm frustrated, it comes out like what I'm going to say doesn't change. Like it's not going to be nothing crazy. Just sharpness. Yeah. But it's my sharpness in the tone. It's like, no, I'm not. No.
So let me ask you, because you were talking about, Keosha, every child is different, right? So do we apply that to the people in our circle of support? Do we need to communicate with people that, like, we want to honor our relationship and understand? I know I can't talk to this friend the same way that I can talk to that friend because, this friend is a little more sensitive. In my core circle, I know how I can communicate to each person. So you're saying like, sometimes I just say what I need to say. Maybe not carbon copy it, but I'm trying to think of a kind of word to say. Maybe not cater because that's a little coddling. I can't think of the word, but maybe design.
Yeah,
and that takes time.
Oh,
that takes work.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And that's normally how I treat most of my relationships, right? But sometimes, and very rarely, it's kind of like, I've done that. I've curated this for you already.
Okay.
I've curated this conversation. I've curated this thing. I've designed it for you. And in this, you have still not, you've done nothing with it. And and it's like you're still asking for something that I've already communicated, I've already designed, and now I'm frustrated. So now my no or leave me alone is like, yeah, don't ask me no more.
Yeah.
And then that's the part that people are like, oh, why you gotta say it like that?
Yeah.
I feel, in my experience, this is you've left me no choice because I've curated it, I've designed it, and you have not engaged with it.
That's where as the kids say, the receipts come in. That's when you have to show them.
I'm a receipt queen.
Now, have you communicated of this curation, or do they know the? So there's a couple layers. Like, do they know you curated this, or is it something like? Okay, I'm gonna. Okay. Yes. So that's one part. Then number two, I was thinking about also, it differs in relationships because it differs like the history, and like if it's someone newer, or like okay, I'm gonna be a little more grace, or there's not.
I don't have no value on the relationship.
I ain't got no new people in my life. None of these people are
so
new.
like okay, so these are long term. But even those relationships, there's different levels, there's different track, there's different.
Absolutely.
So it's like that also can inform, and that's where self-awareness and also doing those self-checks come in, because like, okay, I know, like my mother, right? She knows how to say things that can just send me over here just by being her. And me being aware of that at moments of contention, I have to be careful. Because I already have here she go. I know when she like certain inflections in her words, how she says certain things. I don't like the way she already have a problem when she says certain things like this. This is a trigger for me because I know she's little. So no matter what she says, I'm already like, right? Say versus someone else, a friend, I may be a little more graceful in that space. So it just depends on the relationship too. It plays a role as well. Self-aware.
It's no, seriously, because my parents both, me and my parents, both of them, we can go here and there. Like me and my mother, I can tell her, I can be more honest with my mother more naturally than my father. But there are things about both of them that I'm normally very conscious of, and I try to be very like respectful, but I'm human, so sometimes I just don't have the patience. I'm like, hey, we're not doing this right now. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm 45. I'm about to be 45. I'm not 12. I can't offer you the meek mom, dad. I don't have it. Like I can't offer that to you right now. I just need you to know that this is not working for me. But then I have some friendships. And it's funny because what you just said, Key, about like the history. And it's like there's some friendships and some relationships that I have, and one in particular where you find out things about your friendship and the other person don't know that you know, and it's caused a strain because it's like you've been lying to me. And now I know that you're lying, that you've been lying, but you don't know that I know. And it's just like, so it's like, it's so many different layers. And I feel like in 2024, God was like, listen, focus on yourself. And it was kind of like what you said. Everybody who's supposed to be here will be here. And in 2024, everybody who was supposed to be in my life, everybody who was supposed to support, everybody I was supposed to support, everybody, it was all reciprocal. There was reciprocity in 2024, like crazy. Like looking back, so there were some moments when, it got dark. But when I look back over my friendships and my relationships, family and, friends, there was so much reciprocity. And I had so much support. And some people tap in here, some people tap in there, and it worked. But now it's like, now that I've kind of come to this new place, I'm like, oh, how do I navigate this new stage? Because it's like, at some point, I'm going to have this conversation with these people.
That part.
Because I love these people.
Yeah, because I was saying, because the thing, like, do you let it sit? Then I know you're saying the fix it part, but like, when do you have that conversation? Like, when you're ready to have that? Because sometimes it's really about bandwidth. Like, I have to have this conversation.
Yeah, I love that bandwidth word. I'll be like, I don't have the bandwidth right now.
That's my new friend, because I that's how when I scan myself, even with like engaging with family, anything is like, how am I feeling right now? And okay, they're like, I don't have it, because a lot of times I'm the one who shows up for my family, and it's like, I don't got it anymore. So like, I have
capacity. I'm at full capacity. That's my
so I've been saying that a lot. Like, I don't have the capacity. And my resident counselor, she said to me, she said, let me ask you a question. She said, you've been saying it a lot. I just want us to be mindful. She's like, can we unpack that? I laughed. I said, sure. She was like, you've been saying that a lot. You don't have the capacity. She said, I just want to make sure that we're aware of it so that it's not becoming negative self-talk. So we first went into the conversation, and I was like, I never thought about it like that. She said, so what are you actually saying when you say you don't have capacity?
You don't want to do it, or because you could have the capacity,
I
don't want to do it.
You don't want to do it. And I was like, I'm going to take it a step further. I don't want to invest any more energy into that. So I'm trying to go from saying I don't have the capacity. I know what it is. I don't want to invest energy into it.
That's fair.
Call the thing a thing. Like, call the thing a thing. I don't want to do it.
And I was so glad that she made me stop and think about it. And I was like, and this Kiki, because see, you say I do it to you. I got somebody that do it to me all the time. Yeah. Do you want to unpack? And I'll be like, no, not really. But okay.
I got to do it the other night. It was so fun. It was so fun.
Yeah, she did. She enjoyed it. Listen,
I loved it.
I appreciated it, and it's like, I never want to be so firm in who I am that I'm not willing to like wiggle. But I have to be honest. If I feel something, I feel it. Not saying that it's right. And I said, God, this is how I feel right now. Send me a fresh wind if I need to.
Yeah.
If I need to like move on this, send me a fresh wind so that I can. You know what I mean? But right now, how I feel is.
But I think that's why this space you all created holding each other accountable with love. That's exactly what that is. Like,
yeah,
saying how you truly feel, having other perspectives, be open to it, because that's what community is. You have to be open to hearing all sides, because Kyosha's coming with her experience, you're coming with your experience, and then if we all put it there, we're like, okay, let's see what's really happening here.
So pick this part up, put this part down.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Can I be honest with y'all? I don't want to do this no more. It's 2 hours and 14 minutes.
We good.
I respect it. I made some good.
It was very kind of you to tell us how you feel, Keel.
No, I'm just practice. This is new for me. I'm trying here. Thank you for being a safe place that I can say that.
I was trying to wrap it up there with the whole heel.
I saw it.
You can use it. I had to be so rude about it. I was trying to be like, I was trying to carbon copying it for you. You just rude.
That was rude. I'm sorry. Was it rude or just stressing myself authentically? Was that rude or was it me stressing myself authentically?
It's a journey.
We're so used to putting a cherry on top. Sometimes brutal is okay. That's something we'll unpack that next week.
There it is.
I love this.
So this is felt like the table flipped. I'm just saying how
I'm just saying I don't do no more. But like the beauty, but being honesty and not. I'm not. I love you, but I'm done.
I got you. Praying hands. Sending prayer hands.
Maybe a little watch.
All hearts and minds clear.
All hearts and minds clear.
Listen, I think our last episode for the season, we need to have Jerome and Jasmine on.
Okay. I think we
need to close it because I feel like that would be, we're gonna have to have like a real agenda for the conversation because we could just talk.
I tried. Listen, hold on. I had I had wholeness. I was gonna do the wholeness definition and bring it, but it took its own. It kind of went its own way, so I didn't have to stay. Because sometimes, like this in church says, sometimes you have the program. But sometimes you gotta let the spirit lead. The spirit led, and it shifted.
It is the shift.
I have one question for Jerome. So I heard you say you facilitate. So you're facilitating, which means you're educating people on some level about something.
Yeah.
And although you are an amazing performer in all of the things, I'm very aware. Is this something like professionally in terms of that space of like facilitating these type of conversations? Is that something you want to build upon?
Like so that.
Good question.
Yeah, so I'm actually in school now. Among the 3 jobs I'm doing now for social work, getting my degree now. So I'm doing that, and I don't know what that's going to look like, but I know social work has my mentor is a social worker as well as my partner, and there's just so many avenues I can take that. So to blend my music therapy background, my performance background, my social work knowledge, I'm going to carbon copy a path for myself with. The company I work for has been very gracious in that area. But also, I always tell people I am in my edutainer era. Like, I love getting up and, teaching my culture of care class. It's all about compassion, empathy, bedside manner, human behavior, and connection. And so I'm in front of people educating, but I'm also entertaining people. So I'm blending, marrying my 2 loves. So what that's going to look like, that I don't know. I know there's a Professor Jerome Foster Lewis in my future, but I'm on the path and I'm open.
I love that.
All opportunities.
I love that. I love that.
You saw that in me. Thank you.
I love that. Oh, I am that friend. So what you gonna do? Kiki is gonna be in a writer's room. We can mark this moment. I'm telling you,
your memoir and your short film is coming out. We can.
Yes, she's going to be in a writer's room. I'm very adamant about that, and I know that. But I'm thinking about going back to get I'm like going back and studying human behavior a little bit more in depthly. I was actually looking into some stuff. I'm thinking about it, but I already have a master's, and but listening to you and the way
what about your doctorate?
I'm open to that too. So like in my new role, after a year of service, I would have like some financial support for that. So I'm waiting, so I'm kind of like getting research together so that I will know, like, so by the end of the year, I have like a program to go to or something like that. So so I'm putting the wheels together because my ultimate goal is to be a professor. Like that's the thing I've always wanted to do in my life. Like wherever I want to retire from being a professor. Like I want to teach something on a larger scale, but we'll see what happens, but the way you facilitate conversations, the way you engage, I already know that your workshops and your classes are top notch.
We have a
I
good
can tell.
time, yes.
I'm like, oh, I can't. So
Yeah.
next time I'm in New York, if I'm not working, I would love to come to one. I would.
This is
I would love
right
to.
now. I'm just teaching for new employees for my company, so I feel like it's really training me for whatever the next chapter is going to be. As Mel Robbins always says, enjoy this moment because it's preparing you for the next great thing. So every single chapter I'm in, like I'm just like, all right, God, whatever you was preparing me for, I'm open to the process. So yes, this has been very fun, ladies. Thank you for inviting me to the group chat.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, this was amazing. I needed
This
this.
was so good. I enjoyed it.
I know you had a busy weekend and a crazy week, but
Yeah.
thank you for making time to join us tonight. I'm excited.
Thank you. What y'all talking about next week?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
We don't know yet.
Well, I was thinking about, because what I talked about this morning about, I left Jazz. I always have these downloads. I send Jazz like a random voice note. And I'm like, Jazz, what about this? Right. So as I was talking in my stories this morning about, so I think it was like our grandma's prayer. It's like understanding how our grandmothers showed us in real time how to push through. In the moments we didn't always appreciate that. So unpacking that and really understanding what they showed us and how now we can apply it to us, our journeys. We have praying grandmothers. We all three of us have praying grandmothers. Strong pillars in the church. And so in the moments we didn't understand sometimes what they were doing, or it was obnoxious, or like, oh, you're doing too much, or why you just go. And it's like, but
I find myself moaning around the house. Oh,
girl, like, glory to God, wonderful Savior. My grandmother, wonderful Savior. And it was like, but now you understand.
Every day is a day of Thanksgiving and all of it. Like
my grandmother's body wrapped in pain, and she was still blessing God. So even in these moments of inconvenience, why can't I? So I like this morning I already had to, I like, oh my God, she was showing me what to do in the moment. So I sent Dad's voice and like, we got to talk about this. We got to talk about the impact that our grandmother's had on us. And like, I forgot what I said in the voiceover, but it was like that, because we were talking about that residual faith. We grew up in the church and we know how to do, we knew of God, but now in the space that we're in our own journeys, we're
got to know him for yourself.
Know him for yourself, my God. And understand and creating our own, having our own relationship with him. Okay.
Listen.
Don't get me started.
Listen.
We got to wrap this thing up because I will go forth in God. You hear me? He has been good to me. Listen.
Them songs hit different now. Them songs hit different when I think
of the goodness
and all that he's done for me. My soul,
it cries out.
Something about the name is listen.
Stop playing with it. Come on now.
Come on.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this podcast right now. We ask that whoever is watching is blessed and is touched by something you has given us, Lord. We ask that you continue to allow us to be lights in the world. Give us direction on the path that you like. Every hand we touch, every eyeball we see, every one we speak to, give us a word, give us an example of your faith and love. God, we thank you for this moment. We thank you for community. We thank you for the things you have done in our life, God. We thank you for the things you are currently doing. And we thank you in advance for the things that you are going to do. We give you an advance praise, God. We love you. We appreciate you, and we are so grateful for this community. Amen.
Amen.
Man.
And Kiosha, I just want to say this. I think we just need to accept that our podcast is always going to be 2.5 hours. We just gonna have to accept it. It's never, somebody hit me and was like, y'all really be talking for 2.5 hours. I was like, it never fails. No matter what, even just me and her. We keep talking.
It's
good. And that's us in real life. We go 3 hours just talking, unpacking. I'm like, we go for 3 hours.
The other day we was on the phone for 3 hours just talking and unpacking. We was like,
unpacking. I was like, okay, girl. Well, I'm
right, girl. I was like, I'm gonna go watch this TV. Nah, but it's
run this water jar.
We got a lot of content. Wait, when this season, we got a lot of content.
We got a lot of content, so we take a break.
I pray that you all continue this journey. I pray that your community continues to grow, that people feel blessed and encouraged the way that me and my partner have. We enjoy this. So it's been an honor to be here. Really, I'm not just saying that because you're family. This has been great. So thank you. Thank you for creating this and for stepping out on faith and, you know, taking hold of your assignment and being obedient. That's the word I'm looking for. Being obedient to the assignment that clearly has been given to you, because this is needed. This is needed. So thank you for being examples to all of us. I mean that.
Yeah. So stay right there. We're going to end this. We're going to end the lot. And so good night, y'all.